Do 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 do.
Danny Phantom.
Hey guys, Pie Guy Rules here, and welcome to the recast. Monsters Review. He was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. It was designed to view monsters unseen.
That's gross.
He's gonna review them all because he's Monsters Review.
He's a monster.
Review a monster, real quick, monsters.
Monsters vs. Aliens. I haven't seen that movie in 10 years. That's my review.
I just rewatched that last month because it was on Netflix. And it's like, I forgot that it was originally a 3D movie. Because it was like back when like 3D was like thing, and then everything's like, whoa, in your face.
Yeah. Everyone's like,
Right,
look
like-
at this blob guy, because he's all 3D.
Yeah.
That's like an old school 3D one. Like everything's in 3D now, but that was like a
That was like
stuff
at the peak
camera
when,
to 3D.
when they just kept marketing 3D.
Yeah, the very first shot in the movie, like it pans down and it's a ping pong ball like bouncing into the screen and back. And like now that I'm not watching it in 3D, I'm like, wow, this looks kind of weird.
All right, so as mentioned, I'm joined by Monsters Review as always,
Yes, hello.
and special guest Kuro the artist.
Young, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Young, what's
Oh,
up?
sorry, it's Yo, not Young.
The controversy. Oh boy. Okay, so before anything else in the show, I gotta say, we're recording this on Wednesday, so we have not seen Endgame. So even like if you come back to this video and you're like, Pie Guy spoiled it by saying something about like Thanos' ear being possessed by a magical ghost, and that turns out to be true. That's just something I made up, guys. Like, it just happened to be true by weird coincidence. So don't worry about spoilers for Endgame. Like, we couldn't tell you them if we wanted
Plus,
to.
we all know how it's
Yeah.
gonna end with Ant-Man, so.
Well, that's just a logical conclusion. That's
Yeah.
not a spoiler.
Yeah.
All right. We got a good show for you guys today. We have 2 gauntlet-tastic episodes of Danny Phantom. We also have some news about another one of the shows we talked about in the big Nick non-upfront thing. We got talks about Netflix. We got talks about my favorite show, BoJack Horseman. And yeah, I watched some interesting stuff. I don't know about you guys.
What's that? You like that BoJack Horseman?
Been through a valley on a horse with no name.
Oh my god. That song's been stuck in my head for like the past like 4 days, and I think I'm starting to like it.
Do you have the horses in the back?
Horses in the back. Like something about his voice, I want to keep hearing him
I've
talk.
got the horses in the back.
I don't know. I don't even know the rest of it.
You should listen to the BoJack version of the song on the BoJack Horseman official soundtrack, available now on iTunes and Spotify.
Really?
Just like us. Yeah, no, the soundtrack is really good. I listen to it at work. It's got a lot of background music. It also has some of the most popular songs, like Mr. Peanut Butter's House.
Does it have the
The theme song, of course, and the intro, or and the end credits.
the dolphin song?
Shh, Kuro, language. But yes,
Sorry.
that's on there. Okay. All right. So, how are you doing, Mr. Kuro? It's been a while since we had you on the podcast.
Oh boy, I've been doing good, doing busy. I've had a lot of big changes I've been doing today. I rebranded my channel officially. It's now called the Ink Tank. So gonna be expanding my content more. Thank you. So you might start
Nice.
seeing like a few things, few more things coming out there. Maybe some more people joining. I just put out a shirt that Nikki, who's been on the recast before, she drew it,
Mm-hmm.
which was really cool. And I rearranged my office, so it's a little more comfortable. So yeah, just
Nice.
stay
Nice.
productive.
There you go.
Thank you.
I heard you hit a big milestone with 5 years later. Kuro's comic that's a crossover of Ben 10 and Danny Phantom.
I did. Thank you. It's it's now a little over 2 years old, and it's doing really well. It's what I hoped for, but wasn't sure it would ever get, and it only seems to be expanding from there. I'm getting a lot more done of the most recent chapter. The next one is coming at the end of the summer. It's going to be over 100 pages long. We're all putting a ton of work
Wow.
into it. So
Dang.
yeah.
You gonna get affiliated with the DC Universe streaming app? Gonna get on there?
Oh yeah.
Gonna get bought out by DC?
Or Disney.
Monsters, how are you?
I'm doing good. Feeling pretty hyped for Endgame. I know that, like you mentioned, by the time that people are listening to this, the movie's already been out for the weekend, but I am going with a group of friends. We're waiting in line for many, many hours, and I think it's going to be amazing. I don't want to set my expectations unrealistically high, but I've been trying my absolute best. Like, most of my favorite movie reviewer YouTubers have already uploaded their reviews. I haven't clicked on a single one. I have certain words blocked out on Twitter because I've just been trying to avoid absolutely everything. And I basically up until like the last trailer, I haven't watched any of the TV spots or anything. So I've done a very good job of staying committed to not having anything spoiled. And I think
Same.
to be there with my friends and to experience the last, well, I mean, I don't even, because there's going to be Marvel movies after this, obviously, but almost like a pseudo.
It's the end of an era.
Yeah,
it's the end of an era.
A pseudo finale to 11 years of commitment and fan service. It's just, I'm very excited and I can't contain my excitement.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like, super excited for Endgame. I've surprisingly, I haven't been spoiled. Go ahead, put the spoilers in the comments section. Ruin it for Pie Guy, except you can't, because by the time this comes out, I'll have seen it.
Yeah, but how about for other people?
Well, I mean, please don't put spoilers in the chat for other people. If you're listening to this, be careful of the comments. And this is how we get no comments on a video.
Yeah.
I read there's like some horrible prank going around with Endgame spoilers where there'll be like gifs of like something you might want to watch, like a puppy or something, or like it starts looking like it'd be like one of those like lewd gifs of a girl, and then after 3 seconds it cuts to like a huge spoiler of Endgame. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it, and like that just makes me not want to watch anything like at all.
Yeah. I know, good friend of the recast, Shadow Streak is going on like a media blackout because he can't see it for another few days, unfortunately.
Oof.
But but some like respect or like hope for the internet, I guess, is retained in the fact that I haven't seen any spoilers at all. Nothing outside of like, you know, the 3 trailers that I saw, and that's amazing. The only thing I'm concerned about is that I'm seeing the second showing, so I'm worried that going in, people walking out of the theater, and this is like, listen, this is the most first world problem in existence, but I am worried that like other people walking out of the theater having seen it are going to be like, you know, hey man, how about that part where Snape killed Dumbledore? And I'll just be like, what? Oh, they put Snape in this movie? Dang it. What if this movie just turns into the Lego movie where it's just got like random cameos? I remember after Infinity War broke out, the place I was working, people would just say, people would go up to like coworkers and be like, Wonder Woman dies in this new Avengers movie. Like,
I heard that around. Like people would say like the most ridiculous characters, be like, oh man, did you hear that Dr. Eggman got dusted?
Also, like, I'm not trying to theorize too much myself, but now that Disney does own Fox, I am curious to see if there will be any new introductions.
Yeah, the world awaits with freshly buttered eyes.
They're eventually. I read that they're gonna recast the entire X-Men for the MCU, except for Ryan Reynolds. So the fact that they made that statement, we can look forward to the X-Men joining the MCU. And I mean,
interesting.
At that point, there's really no reason not to have the Fantastic Four in it to like complete like every major Marvel group. I'm sure that if they do the Fantastic Four, I can't see that happening like for another 5 years or so, but
yeah,
I can see it happening eventually.
All right, well, at the risk of actually spoiling some stuff, maybe we should move on.
Yeah.
So aside from being excited for Endgame, I mentioned last week that we couldn't announce a date for the next live cast because I was waiting to hear back on a job, and I got the job.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Da, 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 da.
Beat out over 30 candidates, which surprised me. But
wow,
that's dedication.
Yeah, I get the call from the person, and they're like, well, like they first like, oh, well, how was your Easter? Which, by the way, was Easter last week. We didn't mention on the recast at all.
Yeah. Good thing you bring that up now.
Yeah. Oops. I mean, I feel like we should have at least acknowledged it. Like,
right.
We should have definitely done like egg-themed episodes of something.
Yeah.
Rugrats had a Passover episode.
That is true. We're very inclusive. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're not because we didn't talk about it. But anyway, well, we equally didn't talk about any religion last week, so that's good. No, but like the first thing she said was Happy Easter, and then after that she was like, well, sorry it took so long to get back. We had to apply over our 30 candidates. And I was just like, oh, well, that's the wind up for like, you didn't get the job, but don't feel bad, buddy. There's just stiff competition. Like, right? Like that's probably how you'd say that. And then she's like, you got it. And so, yeah.
Wow.
So there we go. I can't tell you what I'm going to do, but it's something.
Sounds
Gonna do it good.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, unfortunately, we still can't tell you when the next live stream is going to be because I got like job orientation and like other stuff that's just kind of make my schedule a little wonky for the time being. And we have the Avengers themed episode next week, and we have the 40th recast like in like 2 weeks. Like we've got like a lot of recast themed events that are going on, so we want to kind of give the live show like its own respect and its own air. We don't want it to just kind of come out right after the Avengers one or whatever. So it won't be long after the 40th episode, but it is going to be after the 40th episode. So that's all we can tell you for right now, unfortunately. All right. So let's get into what we watched recently. And Kuro, I'm going to let myself start, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
Mixing it up.
Well, might as well.
I watched a few things. So I'll say one of the things I watched, and then I'll pass the hot potato on. So there was a lot of talk about Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law in the recast server. Wink, wink, join our recast server. And that got me thinking, like, man, I should watch some Phineas and Ferb. And I tried to watch some Phineas and Ferb. I tried to watch one episode that was like sidetracked or something, but it was an episode about Perry and this Canadian Kauka, which is Canadian organization without a cool acronym. Lady tried to team up to take down Doofenshmirtz, who's in Canada, and it really didn't stick with me. There was no Phineas and Ferb in it outside of a small cameo. It was all Perry stuff, and I just Doof works better in small doses, and Perry is like he's cool, he's iconic, but he's not that compelling of a character to watch for a full 22 minutes. It's like a 22-minute special too, by the way. So I didn't make it too far in that. But instead, I watched the classic Phineas and Ferb Get Busted.
Oh.
It's a very early, it's like an episode 12 or so of season 1, so it's pretty early in the series. And it's the one where, really like unceremoniously, Candace reveals what Phineas and Ferb were up to that day to their mom. And their mom kind of freaks out and sends them to this no fun, like, military school for summer. And it's pretty good. It's like one of the earliest examples of really subverting the formula, and Phineas and Ferb is definitely at its best when it's subverting its formula. Of course, you have to have the formula to subvert it, so that kind of creates this weird paradigm. But no, I mean, it was very entertaining. There's multiple songs. And they had a pretty cool drill sergeant. Yeah, I recommend that episode. I'm still in this weird space with Phineas and Ferb where it's like there are things about it that you can't not like. Like the songs are great. The characters, regardless of how you feel like about how developed they are or whatever, they're definitely iconic. Like jokes about Perry and his murmur and like all that, like it's very iconic. Perry is actually one of the funniest parts in the episode because there's no Doofenshmirtz and Perry subplot, but yet towards the end of the episode, Doofenshmirtz and Perry come up out of like a robot like spider thing, like just they come up out of the ground for like 12 seconds to just knock the bad guy into a giant pit and then they disappear. Like it's just kind of like, oh, so this is what it looks like having not seen whatever the rest of their shenanigans was about, and that's pretty cool. So I recommend that episode. But Phineas and Ferb is like it's a great show to show clips of. It plays really well on YouTube because their songs out of context are just fantastic. But watching it can be difficult depending on which episode you're watching. But yeah, that's a pretty good one. Monsters, what have you seen this week?
I watched some Family Guy.
Oh, I know where this is going. Family Guy covered a very topical subject recently, did it not?
Yeah. So, I don't know what inclined me to do so. I mean, I guess, Family Guy, at least for me usually, and I guess throughout my youth, was always a pretty good show to just kind of kick back and watch late at night and turn your brain off. You know, it was on Adult Swim a lot. However, I decided to watch some of the more recent episodes from season 17 because I haven't been keeping up with it, nor have I ever really. But the episode that you're referring to that I watched is called Trump Guy. And I guess it's the infamous episode in which Family Guy extensively covers Donald Trump.
What year did they do this, Monsters?
Either this year or last year.
It was this year.
Yeah, so it's fairly recent.
Okay.
And basically kind of the idea is that Peter becomes, I think it's the press secretary for Donald Trump. I don't remember how he gets the gig exactly, but basically the Griffins move to Washington D.C. They go to certain functions. Peter starts working for Trump, and then Trump sexually assaults Meg. And then this kind of starts this whole thing. And then there's like an infamous, you know, like how Peter has those fights with a chicken and they're kind of drawn out and they're very elaborate. He has one of those except it's with Trump, and they reference the chicken in it, but there's basically like a 2-minute fight sequence between Donald Trump and Peter.
Did you enjoy it, Monsters?
By the way I was describing it, I think you could tell that I really didn't enjoy this. Like I mentioned before, when you watch Family Guy, it's something I like to turn off my brain to, and I don't really care to critically analyze it that much. I just kind of, you know, sit back and watch it and laugh at the cutaways and stuff. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I actively did not like this episode. Like I did not like, I wanted to keep watching it, so I figured out how it ended and stuff, but I didn't want to keep watching it. There were so many predictable political jokes. It really didn't bring anything new to the table. It's what you would expect. And it was, you know, Seth MacFarlane doing political humor, that sort of thing.
See, the thing is that, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm relatively convinced that the reason why Family Guy and The Simpsons are, like, continuing to be dragged on, like, and the reason why they do things like this, or Bart flossing or what have you, like, I'm pretty convinced they do it because they know that it'll get, like cringe watch, you know, like, can I
any publicity is good publicity.
Can I coin a phrase here? Like, instead of binge watching, you're gonna cringe watch it. No, but, like, seriously, like, you see it on Hulu. It's a picture of Donald Trump and Peter Griffin hanging out together, and there's something about that you're just like, oh, I gotta see how bad this is. And it works more than, like, you know what I mean? Like, it sucks that it works, but it does work. And I mean, I fall prey to that as well. I'm not sitting here like I have the formula. I know it. It's like, no, we're probably gonna talk about the stupid WWE Hanna-Barbera crossovers just because, again, just if an idea is, like, stupid or weird enough or inflammatory enough, and it's, like, on your front page of Hulu or wherever, it's gonna get people to watch it. But
exactly,
I mean, I joked about it not being topical to do a Trump episode. I mean, Trump is our active president at the time of recording this, so it's not like, I guess, so if you don't understand, it's more just that when Trump got elected, and all of 2016 and all of 2017, it was just nothing but Trump humor on, like, every show had to do a political episode. It, like, basically ruined one of South Park's seasons that Trump got elected. Like, whether, you know, regardless of how you feel about anything political, just, it's not like I'm sitting here saying, like, you can't make jokes about him or, like, whatever because of respect or anything. No. It's just that, like, Trump jokes got so, like, overwhelming that to make one now is just, like, it's just, like, dead humor, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's like it's going for the easy target.
Right. But the joke that's already definitely been made. Like, honestly, if they were to maybe make fun of, like, specific recent things he's done or recent policies, maybe you could bring it back. But even then, it's just like the world, I mean, not just from fiction, but from news sources as well. I feel like it's just like we have heard a lot about Trump, and it's enough. I don't need it in my Family Guy.
Yeah, like, they have a bit in the episode where they compare him to Jabba the Hutt, and they have another bit too where they have, you know, like how most presidents depicted in media have, like, a button on their desk that they can press, and then it causes, like, nuclear missiles to get launched. He has two buttons. One of them launches nukes, and then the other one brings like a waiter to or like a butler to the Oval Office with a Diet Pepsi. And it's like, I'm pretty sure I've already seen this stuff on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I watched that, and then I watched another episode of Family Guy called You Can't Handle the Booth from the same season. It's a couple episodes later down the production line. And basically the idea is the Griffins are recording a DVD commentary for one of their episodes at Fox. So it's almost like there's nothing like visually different about the episode. There's a little introduction where it shows all five of them or whatever in like a recording studio, but for the rest of the episode, it's just like the other episode, and they're just making subtle jokes throughout it. The audio from the episode fades in and out as Brian and Stewie make jokes and stuff like that.
Wait, so what episode is it shown?
That's the thing. I tried to do my best research, but I'm pretty sure the episode that it's doing a commentary of was made for this episode, and it wasn't a prior episode.
Okay. Kuro?
I wanted to wait until I was on my part of what we've watched, but I actually have seen all of season 17 of Family Guy except for Trump Guy, and I completely forget about it because Hulu puts a new episode on every Sunday night around 3 a.m. And I'm usually up at night, so I would like watch it just so there's something there.
Who watches Family Guy at 3 a.m.? Kuro. Oh boy, 3 a.m.
I do, and it's the second the episode's released. Thank you very much.
Someone make a Patrick meme.
It's a show that I've kept up with all these years. I just forget about it. But it's funny because I saw the Donald Trump clip on Twitter, and I'm just so sick of like Trump jokes. Like regardless of my opinion on him, I just don't want to hear it. And that's the only episode of season 17 I didn't see. And I actually was going to bring up You Can't Handle the Booth too, because I thought it was very interesting, the setup for it. The jokes didn't really land with me, but yeah, they created an entire Family Guy episode just for them to commentate over it.
Huh.
And like you can kind of tell because like there'll be like pauses in like the fake episode, where nothing's really happening, just so the voices can be more prominent.
Do you think on the DVD they'll have a bonus feature where instead of with commentary, you watch the episode without commentary?
Oh, you know what?
I don't think so.
That would be a good idea, but they probably wouldn't do it.
That would be a good idea. But yeah, like, so they record like this commentary, but throughout the episode, like, there's someone from Fox that brings in their paychecks. And then like Lois realizes that Peter makes 4 times as much as she does, and there's basically just this family drama that ensues. Peter admits that he had a first wife who turns out to be actress Sarah Paulson, who then comes in and joins them in the VO booth while they're recording the commentary. And then Lois admits that she made love with Philip Seymour Hoffman and that he might be the father of Chris. and then the actual voice actors come in, so like Seth MacFarlane, Seth Green, and Mila Kunis, all of them. Yeah, and then basically Seth MacFarlane's like, hey, so you guys are all fake. Like, I voice some of you guys, and you're all like, you guys don't exist in real life. And then Lois is like, oh, if we don't exist, then I forgive you, Peter. And that's like the end of the episode. And I realized that, I mean, I've only seen 2 episodes from season 17, but I didn't like either of them. I spoke with someone who has seen a lot of Family Guy season 17, and I thought maybe it was just I maybe happened to pick 2 episodes that were super meta, but I guess that's something that they're embracing a lot more of now, because there was in both episodes a lot of fourth wall breaking and just like saying like in the Trump Guy episode there were these certain cutaways where Brian was like, I wrote that joke following like a joke in the episode, or Stewie like, I wrote that joke, and then like in the You Can't Handle the Booth episode, there was a lot of referencing Fox and the Disney merger and other Fox shows. Like, there's an infamous clip in the Trump Guy episode where Peter realizes that Trump is watching Bob's Burgers.
Oh, that's
and then
that episode?
Talks about the show.
Oh.
Yeah, and then You Can't Handle the Booth, there's like an extended scene where I think Lois is making a phone call to Fox to complain, and they play like a minute of the Simpsons theme. And all that thing. So,
oh, yeah, I remember that.
So, I don't know. I found a lot of that to be very distracting, and I honestly wasn't a fan of either episode.
Yeah, Family Guy's joke styles have changed significantly over the years. Their jokes are either the fact that they're a TV show or something like so specific. Like, I don't get where the writer was trying to go with it. Like, their cutaways will be like, oh, this is just like the time I was walking down the stairs and on the fourth stair, blah blah blah. I don't know. I can't even think of an example right now. But
And that's the thing, like, I used to like a lot of the cutaways because I'm just a pop culture freak, so I understood a lot of the very obscure references, but now it seems like the show is trying to reference itself a lot.
yeah, it's like I don't know.
Get it,
I don't
guys?
even
Because
know.
we're
I
a
don't
part
even know
of
why
Disney
I watch
now.
it. It's more of just like white noise to me while I draw. But it's just something I'm familiar with, so I keep up with it.
Right.
And every now and then they just do like a really cool concept that I enjoy. Like a few seasons back there was like that one episode where they went back in time to the pilot of their
Back to the
series.
pilot. That's
Yeah, and
recast
everything
fodder
wasn't
if
the
I've
old-
ever heard one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I
Like,
liked
I
that.
like the idea of the DVD commentary. It's a cool idea, but I just like I didn't find any of it entertaining. Like, when that drama came in with like all the relationship drama and the paychecks, like I guess that kind of kept me somewhat invested. But for the first 5 or so minutes, where it was just nothing but really bland like DVD commentary, very predictable with the characters and stuff, I was tempted to turn it off.
I don't like Family Guy. I'm more of a King of the Hill person myself, I tell you what.
Oh.
Kuro, did you see anything else aside from Family Guy?
It's so hard for me to like get into an actual series now. Like same reason why I watch Family Guy is same reason with the Arrowverse. I'm just familiar with the lore, so it's like easy entertainment. Because I say this a lot on the recast, but I really don't watch a lot of things that much anymore because I'm always drawing. But I watched a few episodes of Generator Rex recently because it's a 9-year anniversary came up,
Huh.
and it always baffles me that this show is on Cartoon Network because it's like the fact that Aang from Last Airbender is technically a Nicktoon, and that's like weird because like you hear Nicktoon and you think of like SpongeBob and the Rugrats, they all have like that goofy cartoon persona, and then suddenly there's this series of like Oriental martial arts and all this stuff, and it's like really deep. That's how Generator Rex sort of is on Cartoon Network. It's like super misplaced, but it's fantastic. And yeah, I was just watching a few episodes of that. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend the series.
I hear there's a Ben 10 crossover.
Yes, and that was probably the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Well, we almost talked about it this week, but we didn't.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna watch the crossover, you are gonna want to be a little bit more familiar because it's basically a celebration of both of the shows. And if you don't know anything about either, it's like, what is happening? Who's this? Who's that? What is this thing? What does this mean? Because it does get pretty complicated.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd say it's worth it. It's only 3 seasons long. You could probably binge it in a month if you wanted. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else I've watched that wasn't just trying to pass time.
Okay. I got more stuff.
Alrighty.
I didn't really watch much of the DC animated universe this week, so for the first time in like 80 weeks, Pie Guy doesn't have anything to say about that. But I saw the series finale to the show we're talking about today.
Ooh, Phantom Planet.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Yeah. So I know people don't like that TV movie, and people don't like season 3 of Danny Phantom in general, because the really cool person that worked on the show, Steve Marmel, was not a part of the season 3, and instead someone else had a bigger hand, and ego. But yeah. So like it's been a little while since I've seen Danny Phantom, so I kind of wanted to check out the finale again and really see like why people didn't like it. It's not that I had like a really high fond memory of it. I really just didn't remember it at all, and I think that's probably kind of like in line with what it is, because it's for a series finale, it is super forgettable. Like one of the main issues is that it doesn't really have a main villain. Like Vlad is the main villain, but Danny doesn't even fight Vlad in the episode. Like, the villain is Danny's self-esteem about being a ghost, and then a giant meteor. If you've ever seen anything superhero ever, usually the second movie is the movie where they don't want to be a hero anymore, like in Spider-Man 2. And that's this one. Danny doesn't want to be a part ghost anymore because these new ghost-fighting teens are better at it than him. I don't know that Danny realizes that he could just, like, literally not transform into a ghost Like he could just keep his powers and then just not use them. The show kind of forces a reason why he needs to not have ghost DNA in the exact moment, but like it's just kind of dumb reasoning that he gets rid of his powers. And then like another big thing with this special is that Danny's friends are awful to him. Like Sam legitimately only likes him because he's Danny Phantom. Like I'm pretty convinced of that. Like she gets really upset when he doesn't want to do it anymore, and like it's strange because there's really nothing stopping her from trying to fight ghosts on her own. But no, just because Danny doesn't want to put himself in harm's way every week, like you gotta be all upset that Danny's a normal person. Ooh, listen, yeah, and Tucker's not Tucker's not better either. Tucker is also just like done with Danny. Go, Kuro. I want to hear your opinion.
I was just gonna say a lot of people have huge problems with Phantom Planet, especially like the third season in general. But like Phantom Planet always stuck out as like just it's such an oddity.
Boring.
Like I feel like it was just written like in a day. I don't know. We now that we're pretty much gonna talk about all of the 2-parters on this podcast for Danny Phantom. It's had 4. The one we didn't really review, Rainstorm. I don't know if you remember that one, but that probably would have made a much better finale.
So does Ultimate Enemy. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, Ultimate Enemy is great. Yeah, that would probably, I don't know about a finale, but it was definitely like the best episode. But like in Rainstorm, like the whole town bands together and they go into the Ghost Zone and fight the Ghost King, and there's a huge army, and Danny teams up with like every enemy he's met at the time.
Yeah. He does that at the Christmas episode that I love dearly.
And he does it in Phantom Planet too. I don't know. Does he really even have enemies?
Skulker's like, I'll kill you next week, but it's really more like the Joker and Batman and Lego Batman than anything else. But yeah, like Phantom Planet, like what else is like the freaking and Vlad is like Vlad's the worst. Like he just reveals himself to be a ghost and like evil. Despite being the mayor, despite owning, like, the ghost hunting team that's saving the city and making him hundreds and hundreds, even richer than the billionaire he already is. Like, he's got everything going for him. And then he's just like, I'm also an evil villain. Right?
Yeah, he really didn't need to do that. In fact, things would have worked out much better in his favor if he didn't.
There's literally no reason. And he's like weird. Like, his whole goal was to drive Danny out of being Danny Phantom. And he does it. And then he kind of seems like unsatisfied that that's what happened. And it's just like, what? Like, Vlad was the coolest villain on the series, aside from Dark Danny, perhaps. But like this episode really doesn't do him any justice. And it's the finale! And he's the main villain, unless you want to count a giant rock in space.
And then what happens to Tucker at the end too?
Don't even get me started on Tucker being the mayor. Why? What?
Yeah, nothing led up to that at all. It's like he gives one speech and they're like, get this kid in office. It's like you might be
thinking, but they don't even make a joke. Like there's not even a joke about that. Like it's literally, and you might be thinking like, oh, there's a time skip at the, no, he's still like 14, but he's the mayor now. Oh, maybe it's like some sort of like ancient law that like if you drive the mayor out of Amity Park or whatever it's called, then you get to become the mayor. Like if you had a hand in getting rid of him, you can take a spot.
You gotta fight him like the Black Panther.
Right. Oh goodness.
Tucker won.
Yeah. So Phantom Planet is not good. Danny's revealed to. Does Danny reveal himself to his family, or does that secret get revealed in Rainstorm?
Rainstorm,
because
I know it's happened like
it
4
happens
times
in Ultimate Enemy, it happens in Reality Trip, and it happens in Phantom Planet. It's at least 3 of the 4 TV specials that happens. And so
I feel like it did. I know it did in another episode, Masters of All Time, but that took place in an alternate timeline.
Right.
But they kind of do it a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Danny Phantom is full of a lot of cliches and a lot of like very recursive writing. But yeah, and that's the thing about Phantom Planet is it really does feel like a lot of elements that were used before, but like really, really underwhelming. Like Danny's teaming up with the ghosts. Only like Skulker gets to talk to Danny. Like none of the other ghosts really have lines, which is weird because it's the whole army of ghosts. Again, they get more lines in the Christmas episode. Like, there's more cameo appearances from all the other ghosts that are spoken in that episode than in their series finale. I don't know, man. It's I mean, I'll admit, like, the title is cool. The conceit of, like, they can't make the asteroid intangible, so instead they have to make the Earth intangible. Like, that's kind of a cool concept, but the whole thing is just so underwhelming and so just like not what you'd want from a series finale at all. I mean, it gives closure to Danny's secret. It gives closure to Sam and Danny's not relationship, and it gives closure to, like, I guess, just like how he feels about being a hero. Not that was really ever. Actually, wait a minute. Didn't he already have an episode? He already had an episode where he gave up being Danny Phantom. In Identity Crisis, when he splits into regular Danny and Ghost Danny.
Yeah, there's like one thing I find interesting about Danny's character is, like, there's even more than those two instances. I just can't think of them right now.
No.
But, like, at any chance he gets where he can stop being Danny Phantom, he takes it. Like, he really does not want to be Danny Phantom.
Oh yeah. The episode with the wishing ghost.
Yeah.
He stops being Danny Phantom, and then Sam is like, "No, I like Danny. Danny Phantom's hotter."
Yeah, and then she gives him a logo too.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm Brandon him now.
Branding
He's
is
mine.
important. Oh gosh. Yeah. So it's a terrible finale. I mean, it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, I wouldn't say it like ruins the series, but it definitely, like, does not cap it off in a great way. Because again, yeah, like, Danny's parents finding out that he's the ghost kid, like, they're just like, "We're proud of you." Like, oh, okay. There's more of a reaction in Reality Trip than there is in the finale, where it's like a permanent change.
Yeah. And then they instantly get fooled again by the robot.
Oh god, and yeah, man, I don't know. Whoever works on this show and the Fairly Odd Parents sure loves absentee parents.
Yep. Gotta
Maybe...
prioritize jokes over plot.
Oh, certainly. So, yeah. And it really doesn't. Oh, and how Danny gets his powers back. That's the last thing I want to mention, because that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, it's one of the dumbest story beats. Do you remember, Kuro?
Yeah, I don't understand why the ecto energy didn't just burn him.
He gets shot.
And, like, absorbed into him like he's a sponge.
He gets shot. That's how he gets his powers back. So he apparently, doing the same thing that he did to get his powers, removed his powers, which also doesn't really make any sort of sense. But then, see, like, when you write science fiction like this, you really have to make stuff like fit logically, instead of just writing like, and then ectoplasm made him a ghost again. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta work harder than that. But basically, he just gets shot by Skulker and a bunch of the no-name green ghosts that this episode in particular loves using to fill out the backgrounds. But yeah, he gets shot, and it's just like, I'm a ghost now. Woo! I don't know. Yeah. So don't watch that.
Yeah, and he gets his outfit back too.
Yeah. Oh, and there's another. Speaking of the outfit, what's up with the weird joke at the start where, like, every time he tries to, this is one of those.
Wait, is this the episode where he goes pantsless a bunch of times?
Yeah. Well, where he gets shot. Well, so, like, okay, so these new ghost hunters show up in town, and really, like, Danny and everyone should be happy because, I mean, yes, they're working for Vlad, so obviously there's some ulterior motive, but, like, really, it's nothing but help. I mean, like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, people don't need to love Danny Phantom. I thought he was doing it to save people, not to be, not to have an ego, right? Like, but no. Danny's upset by this, and everyone's upset, and Sam's just like, well, you're just gonna have to fight Ghost harder now. And then Danny gets one-hit KO'd by every ghost, which are all ghosts he's faced before, and mostly, like, terrible Season 3 ones, like the weather ghost.
God, I hate that one.
He gets just, like, one-hit KO'd, but for some reason, every time he gets knocked out, like, all his clothes fall off, like he's in a fighting game that's rated M. Like, it's like, and they think that joke is funny, like, 3 or 4 times. I don't, what a letdown.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote and directed that episode should feel ashamed. Guess we'll never know. Okay, so, well, there's one last thing I watched, and... well, and I guess Monsters watched it as well. You almost didn't.
Yeah.
You almost left me out to dry on this one, but somehow you found the time to prioritize what's really important in life, and
Yes.
that is watching a Nick Jr. show. We watched Ryan's Mystery Playdate, which is the unboxing YouTuber show. Yeah,
Ryan Toys Review.
This is update number 2 of Monsters and Pie. Force ourselves to watch all the weird stuff in the non-Nick upfront. Okay.
Yes.
This show is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Wait, so is it like a show, or is it like a YouTube
Yeah,
channel?
It's a show.
No.
It was adapted from a YouTube channel, but it's on Nick Jr. So first of all, it's aimed at a very young audience. Second of all,
Yeah, it's towards preschoolers.
yeah. Second of all, although like the way it was pitched sounded like it was an unboxing, like it was literally going to be a kid like showing off toys for 11 minutes. That's not what the show is. The show is essentially Ryan, who is actually a very like well-spoken and like a kid with a lot of personality for someone so young. Him and his parents, who I think these are his real parents. I didn't look it up.
Yes.
Yeah, these seem like Peter's real parents. Basically, they do a series of like games and challenges to put together clues. It's kind of like Blue's Clues. In order to figure out who Ryan has a play date with, which celebrity is gonna guest star, when is Jace Dorman gonna show up. But basically, like the idea of the show is just kind of games and puzzles, and it's not educational like Blue's Clues in that it doesn't really teach things, but it is definitely a show that inspires, I would say, would probably inspire a kid to use their imagination. The games they play are from, and I only watched one episode. They played one where they were, the floor is spicy chicken noodle soup. The floor is lava, basically, and they had to hop across on pillows. And it's like that's something a kid could do at home. If the show was meant to get kids to be thinking about their imagination, if the show was meant to be a very positive role model of a kid the age of the kids that would be watching this, or maybe a little older, like you don't see it that often because kids that age are generally not great at acting and following directions, but Ryan seems to be very, very good at that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I saw the Tony Hawk episode. Which one did you see, Monsters?
No, I watched the episode before that, the first episode, and they actually had a segment where the floor was lava. And they
Is
used
this-
cushions.
Is this every episode? Is this the same thing?
Maybe. I mean, you said it wasn't too educational. And I mean, I guess compared to Blue's Clues, it's not. But I guess problem solving is certainly a big part of this show.
True, that is true.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool ideas. It's very repetitive. It's, it's a lot of prop oriented stuff.
Right.
They have this thing called like what is the Guessometer, where they place like a prop in it, and they have these two animated characters that I guess are also a part of the show,
Yeah, they're just awful.
like an alligator and a panda.
They're
That
very poorly animated.
yeah, some YouTubers I watch have better animation. They have like 2 frames that they cycle between.
Kuro definitely is a better animator than.
Yeah,
I'm
why,
not
thank
insulting you, Kuro.
you can tell
a compliment.
they didn't put a lot of money towards the animation. There's a lot of visual effects too. The parents have a lot of personality. They in a way almost kind of act like children, but not in a bad way. They just act very lively and you wouldn't expect that for parents.
It reminded me of like the home movies I have with my parents, like where the parents kind of get down on the kids' level and act goofy with them, but it's not. It's very wholesome. Like I expected this to be kind of cringy, but it really wasn't. Like it's fine. I mean, I wouldn't say, and I would probably say, although I don't think it's as good as like a Sesame Street or something. Like it definitely has some things that like no other show that age group really has in terms of like the kid himself, and I don't know, just kind of like the structure. It definitely seems like something that would be popular with little kids.
Yeah, there's certainly an element of repetition and formula to it, which I guess, I mean, most shows that are targeted towards that age group are like that, like Dora and Blue's Clues.
And Phineas and Ferb.
And
I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah, in the episode I watched, there was like a challenge Ryan had to do where there was an entire array of probably a few dozen whoopee cushions, and he had to roll over all of them, and there was a bunch of like fart noises added in post.
Hmm.
That was weird. There was a part I actually found really funny, almost kind of ironically, where the mystery play date Ryan had was with a karate instructor. It could be karate, maybe taekwondo. I'm
A
just gonna
generic
say,
one, or is he a celebrity?
no, I think it was just a generic one. But basically, he came out of that little mystery capsule going, like, he was screaming. He was like, ah, 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 ah. And then he did like a flip and all these moves. He was going, ah, hey, Ryan. So he was just screaming. They went, hey, Ryan. I thought that was funny. But yeah, this clearly isn't a show I would watch ordinarily. But
Thanks for clarifying.
If I had a child or knew someone that had a child this age, maybe I'd recommend it.
Right. I think the way it was marketed was very deceptive because it is not like, let's take this kid's unboxing YouTube channel and just like directly port that to series. That's not what this is.
Right.
There is like elements of like unboxing. I mean, the kid did a puzzle box in mine. That wasn't like an unboxing. It was just a puzzle. And like there's the whole like, I don't know if they did it in your episode, but like the clue comes down in like a fizz ball that like bubbles out of slime or whatever.
And with the red fizz.
Yeah, that's very like, I don't know. Kid YouTubers are all about the slime these days for some reason.
Yeah.
But like other than that, it doesn't feel like it's like just a YouTube show. I wouldn't have known this came from a YouTube series, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen the YouTube series, so I don't know how it compares, but for what it is, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it's fine, especially for the age group. And I will say, so the guest star I had was Tony Hawk, and I actually guessed Tony Hawk because it's like a skateboarder. It's like what other skateboarders exist? And apparently Nickelodeon has a really hard time getting people that they haven't already worked with. And as we all know, Tony Hawk appeared in the coming of age series that defined a generation, Rocket Power.
Yes.
And also, I think he was on a few Kids' Choice Awards. He's been around the network.
Yeah.
He's like 70 now too.
I think he was in the Hall of Game Awards when that happened.
Probably. He's like a well-known
Tony
celebrity.
Hawk's great. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, and anyway, his Playdate section with Ryan was him and Ryan on a skateboard, just like on a green screen. And honestly, some of like Ryan and Tony's like ad-libbing and like faces they were making is kind of like funny and just like I don't know that it's like actually funny or if it's just funny because like out of context it's just very strange, like the faces they're making. Just like a little kid screaming while surrounded like by fish underwater. No, but I got some laughs out of it. So yeah, no, please don't like hate on this show or anything. Like it really is not as bad as you think. And again, remember who it's for.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of which,
it was renewed for season 2.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to the news section.
Yeah, this first season I think was 20 episodes, and then they just renewed it for a 20 episode season 2 already. And mind you, this series premiered I believe less than a week ago.
Does that mean the Substitute's going to get renewed soon?
How many episodes per season?
20.
Oh, that's not... Well, like 11-minute segments, right?
22, I think.
22? Oh, wow. You don't see a lot of those anymore.
No, though, they're 11-minute episodes.
Oh, they are? Okay, the thing I watched was 22 minutes.
Oh, really?
But there was 2 different play dates.
Yeah, I think they're 11 minutes, but they're probably going to air it in a half-hour block.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, it was renewed for season 2. Cool.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that.
I think it did well in ratings. I think it broke like 1 million viewers in the premiere. So,
I mean, I would say that's. It seems to be like a good way of integrating YouTube content or whatever. Like I've always kind of said that like if they are gonna pull from YouTube, like make it different. Like give it a budget and do things that like we can't just do on YouTube. Like make it have a reason for being on TV. And again, I've never seen Ryan's show, but they definitely have like a pretty elaborate set. And the show doesn't seem like it has like a huge budget, but
yeah, I mean, I do feel like it is very cost effective. Like I don't think the show costs that much to produce, especially with the repetition of it.
Right, but it doesn't look like they just aired some kid's YouTube channel.
No, it's not like public access stuff. Like it's actually studio produced. So
when's Jay Storman gonna be on it? That's the real question. All right. In other news, thank you Nick and Moore for this one. Nick and CBS are talking about the new Star Trek animated series that was another piece of the upfront that they mentioned, but we have a little bit more details that it's going to be a CG show.
Ooh. You know, it also is a CG show on Nickelodeon.
Alvin?
Planet Sheen.
I was gonna say that. I didn't want to.
Also, Back at the Barnyard, which is
Back at the bar.
Which is a good show.
Is Alvin even still going?
I think so. It was doing really well in the ratings.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate the way that show looks. I hate how it looks. It looks so bad. Anyway, this Star Trek show is going to be about a group of lawless teens. I hope they have attitude. Who discover a derelict Starfleet ship and use it to search for adventure, meaning, and salvation.
Wow.
That's pretty generic.
I've never heard of a show before where it's a bunch of outcasts looking for meaning.
Oh.
Maybe they won't have attitude. Maybe that's the hook. Maybe they're teens without attitude.
Is it like realistic fiction where it's just about a bunch of people, or like what's the setting?
It's Star Trek.
Oh, I
Did you miss
that
that
Never
part?
mind. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I mean, Nickelodeon and the State of Animation are doing incredibly ambitious things as of late. We couldn't be more excited to jump aboard, said Dan and Kevin Hageman. I don't know who they are. They're people behind Star Trek, I guess. Okay. I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, me neither.
Slow news week. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm relatively neutral to that Star Trek news. It seems like they're putting some amount of effort into it. I mean, who knows? Could be the next Avatar for Nickelodeon. Could be a complete failure.
Time will tell.
Mm-hmm. So we have a reason to keep Netflix, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
And his name is Alex Hirsch.
And Shoyan Takeuchi.
I don't know who that is, but
If that's how you pronounce her name.
okay.
She was a writer on. Well, she worked on some of Pixar's stuff like Monsters University, and I think she worked on Inside Out. And then she also, I believe, worked as a writer on Gravity Falls and Disenchantment.
Oh, nice. So they're going to have a 20-episode series, which is a workplace comedy set in the shadow government, where every conspiracy theory from Illuminati to reptoids is true, and one woman struggles to keep the chaos under wraps. So it's very much within Alex Hirsch's wheelhouse. Like,
Yeah.
This is not...
I'm really interested in that. Just based off that description.
Yeah.
When is this coming out?
Future.
Future.
Yeah, I don't think it started production yet, but
Oh, so this is like super new news then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I wasn't joking. Like, I'll get Netflix back for this series and also whatever Craig McCracken's doing. I kind of forgot about that.
yeah. And Jorge Gutierrez.
Right. I mean, I feel like this was strategically dropped because, like, they're definitely... I wasn't the only one that was like, well, man, who needs Netflix when you got Disney Plus coming? Like, a lot of people are feeling that way. So Netflix needs to step up their original game. That's the only thing they can do at this point, because Disney owns so many of the like things that people actually care about.
Disney buys Netflix in the next 5 years, calling it now.
I was just reading a thing that said that The Office, which is currently the biggest show on Netflix, might be leaving soon because
Wow.
NBC is looking to make their own streaming service, and they showed some studies that said, I believe only 2 of the top 10 Netflix shows in terms of viewership are Netflix originals. I think it's Orange is the New Black and then Ozark. And 72% of everything that's watched on Netflix isn't original. So they clearly have a problem on their hands.
Yeah. Things are leaving, and yeah.
They made a very desperate payout to keep Friends on there, because that's one of the most popular shows on there.
Really?
Yeah, I think they paid like $125 million or something to keep it only for a year.
Wow. I mean, I
to
think
extend the contract.
they really, really, really need to keep The Office, but that's unfortunate. I mean,
It always baffles me where Netflix gets the money for this, because like they really only profit off of like subscriptions, right?
well, remember they did
Investors.
and DVD sales of their original products.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I don't think that
There's like
accounts for
there's no
much, though.
ads on Netflix. There's ads on Hulu. I hate that.
Oh, I don't have ads on my Hulu.
I have ads on my Hulu.
That's because you pay extra.
Kuro
Yeah.
the artist confirmed it's cheap. No. But yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, there was a time like not too long ago where it seemed like Netflix was picking up a lot of these really ambitious, like Netflix was like the artsy alternative to TV. You know what I mean? Where like Orange is the New Black, and we have more violence than you'd usually see, and nudity, and we'd have all sorts of like weird stuff. It was kind of like HBO, but
Got the horse from horsing around.
Everyone else is catching up.
yeah, but I mean, I think the thing is that it still needs those tentpole things like The Office to draw people to it, and then to get them to check out the original stuff, because it's like you can't see the Netflix stuff anywhere but Netflix, aside from some of this not all of it is on DVD. So it's like people that are curious, like let's say I'm curious about Love, Death, and Robots. Well, if I don't have Netflix and I'm like curious, but I don't really want to pay for it, it's like, well, person's either gonna pirate it or just not see it.
Yeah, they need the mainstream stuff to grab the attention of normal people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot I saw Love, Death, and the Robots too. I was gonna bring that up earlier.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't, because we've already had like 3 other people on the recast talk about it.
Okay, well, all I had to say was I didn't make it through the whole season because I didn't like it as much as I thought it did. I liked the first few episodes, and I liked it less and less as it went on.
That's a very common opinion.
Yeah, all right. Well, there's that.
Yeah. Okay, well, so speaking of the reasons why Pie Guy may or may not have Netflix in the future, and also really weirdly topical, but there's a BoJack Horseman Collector's Edition on Blu-ray, seasons 1 and 2. It's got coasters, it's got bonus features that they're gonna announce, and it's like $65, but I really like BoJack, guys.
Yeah, I find it coincidental that they just announced this Shout Factory, because we were literally just talking about this, and there hadn't been any recent updates since like December.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see myself getting this, but I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
day
this is really bad timing for Netflix. Like, they need to keep their stuff where it is. I mean, it's good news for me, because I love BoJack enough that like I see a time where I might not have Netflix, but this is a show that I will always go back to.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll make money off this somehow.
Right. But that's short-term money versus like, well, I mean, I guess $66 versus how many months of Netflix would that be? Like,
they wouldn't even be making all of that, but
true. Yeah, I'm excited for that, but yeah, not great news for Netflix, to be honest. So I guess this is just Netflix week on the recast here. And other Netflix news, there's a little more. We talked about this before. This show called Tuca and Bertie, that is made by one of the people that was behind BoJack. It's got a very similar art style to BoJack. Does not look like it takes place in the same universe. It's got a little different animation style as well.
BoJack Cinematic Universe.
I'll be honest, I was more looking forward to this the less I saw of it. The more I see of it, the more I don't want to watch this show. It's unfortunate because I do love BoJack, and I really love Tiffany Haddish in Lego Movie 2, but it really does not seem like the kind of show for me. And I mean, maybe it's just the trailers, but it seems a little too, like, I don't even want to say raunchy, but just like kind of lowbrow, I guess. It doesn't seem to be of substance.
Well, if you go back and watch the BoJack Horseman trailers, they sell the show like as if it was another Family Guy, and it's clearly not. So I think Netflix is just afraid to market it for whatever it might really be just because if the BoJack crew is working on it, I'm pretty confident it's going to be good. But
it's not all the BoJack crew. I will say that. It's some of the people. So we're not talking, but
yeah, I don't know if it's going to be as existential or deep.
Yeah.
No, like, yeah, it should be its own thing, but I mean, I kind of trust the quality just because of the people behind it, and I've seen how Netflix has advertised BoJack, and like, if I watched the trailers for BoJack before I watched the series, I thankfully didn't. I probably would have never seen it because it doesn't make the show look good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that. Well, I'd say that if I have Netflix at the time this comes out, and I probably will, I'll at least try it. But yeah, and yeah, I mean, you make a very good point, especially because the earlier episodes of BoJack aren't what the later episodes are. Although I still enjoy them. This could just be like, let's show off it could be like I was talking about earlier, like, let's show off the raunchiest, craziest bits because that's what's going to attract people to the show. And then once they're there, sell them on something of quality.
Yeah, I can see that pretty much being their strategy.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it's that and not the other thing. Okay, that's all the news we got.
Yeah.
I wish we had more.
Yep.
Okay, we have a question of the week from Chat. Nope, I've tried to say this before. Monsters, you say.
Chacho.
Brochacho.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, was this not the person that I got wrong that one time by calling him like mustache person or whatever?
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway, Brochacho, good username. I like it. Easy to say. They ask, what movie actor or voice actor, aside from Robin Williams in Aladdin, makes an otherwise dull film enjoyable? Monsters, you go first.
Yeah, I don't know.
You want to say Doofenshmirtz?
In what movie?
In Milo Murphy's Law Season 2.
Oh.
No.
I can't really think of like a movie that's dull where it's like, oh, I love that voice actor in it. Because, I mean, Robin Williams is what makes Aladdin for me, but even without him, I wouldn't call the film dull.
I kind of would. I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd say dull, but I wouldn't.
Another Disney Renaissance film. I don't think The Lion King is a dull movie, but for me, like Jeremy Irons' Scar is absolutely amazing, and his very evil, menacing, lively performance is one of the reasons why I love that movie so much.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
That's the best I can come up with right now.
So I've got a very strange example. Does anyone remember the live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie, the first one?
Yeah, of course, with Drake Bell.
Yeah, I'm not.
Is your choice Drake Bell?
No, definitely
Okay.
not. My choice is David Lewis, who is a Canadian actor. All right, he's not known for many things, but he is Crocker in all three of those live-action Fairly Odd Parents movies, and I just he is a convincing live-action Crocker, and he's funny. The rest of those movies can go jump in a ditch, but he really does bring a certain level of just like insanity to that character that you would not expect. Also, other examples. Actually, there's a really good example. Neil Patrick Harris in A Series of Unfortunate Events, and Patrick Warburton, the two of them. A lot of A Series of Unfortunate Events is kind of dull, but those two characters in particular are, and especially like the performances given by the actors are really wonderful and really light things up. Curry, you got any examples?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of something specific, like of like a bad movie or show that I think was saved by the actor.
You don't have to say it's bad, even if you think it's just like a good or okay that was like really.
Well,
improved.
one thing I know for sure is like I really like a voice actor, Yuri Lowenthal. Obviously, because he's Ben, but he's Sasuke, he's Spider-Man in the PS4 games, he's Juno in Afro Samurai. He's like everybody I like. It's him. So anything with Yuri Lowenthal in it, I like it. I like Seth Rogen a lot, but not really for the kind of humor he does. I just like his presence. And
the new Pumbaa.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. And Donald Glover. Yeah. I've seen. There was this one movie I saw like a while ago, and I barely remember it, so I could even be wrong about this. But it was called Mystery Team. It was all around just like a B movie. It was about like a bunch of kids who were like they were kind of like the Hardy Boys.
It's a
Have you guys seen
deconstruction.
it?
Yeah, I have. It's like the Hardy Boys, but like they're like 20-year-old guys acting like they're like 12, and it's like a cringe comedy basically.
Yeah, I remember like nothing was really special about the movie, but that was like the first thing I saw Donald Glover in, and I really liked him, and that got me hooked on like listening to his music, seeing like more things he's in. I still haven't seen Community though, even though like I know.
You wound me.
But it's on my list.
Good.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. Steve Carell's really good in a lot of things too.
Ooh,
yeah, that's true.
He's one of those people that like sort of like Will Ferrell or Jim Carrey, where they're always kind of playing the same character no matter what. But Steve Carell adds like just a very smidge of like more diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's always playing like that the clueless ignorant kind of man-child person, but he always does it a little different in each movie. Like I liked him in Get Smart. He was also in Evan Almighty. That was pretty good. So
that movie's very controversial.
Well, don't make him feel bad for saying it, Monsters. You're just like
I'm not.
I'm trying to think of like if I missed something about Steve Carell.
He was in that movie about Time Magazine.
No, I mean like
Despicable Me.
Oh yeah, he's Gru. Of course.
That's
Of course, yeah.
That's a good point.
Totally didn't even think of that.
What about Mike Myers as Shrek in like Shrek 4 when everything else is awful?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't even like Donkey all too much. I know a lot of people are fans of that, but I do love Mike Myers as Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
I like Donkey in the first movie, but I feel like he just becomes more and more of a
Oh,
joke
but he's
and less of a character.
stallion in the second one.
Yeah. Okay, that was probably his best movie then. I don't know. Would you say Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1?
Yes, but that's a hotly debated issue.
Maybe
Hotly.
another recast episode.
Perhaps. What about?
The cast starts coming in and don't stop coming.
All right. What about Will Smith in Shark Tale? Now, hang on. I'm not saying he like saves the movie. I mean, we had a whole recast episode about that. But I am saying that I feel like if it was like not Will Smith and someone like worse, then the movie could be even harder to watch.
I can see that. Like, I haven't seen Shark Tale for over a decade. I remember liking it, but then again, I was the target audience, so.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Congrats
Yeah,
on going that long without having seen it.
thanks. Yeah, Will Smith he's been making a lot of really weird career choices, like YouTube
Yeah.
Rewind, Suicide Squad.
I think he just
Bright.
stopped caring. I think it's just like whatever. I could do whatever I want. I'm Will Smith.
What's he coming out in now? Like he's got
Aladdin.
something like, yeah, okay, yeah, that another one. Yeah, he's like everything he's doing lately is just like, what are you doing, Will?
Oh,
but I still like him.
Oh shoot! Wait, I had a.
Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, I got one more example. Jerry Seinfeld in B Movie. Listen, Jerry Seinfeld, I like him. All right, he does a good job as like a first time voice actor there. The whole movie in general, I mean, it's like it could be a lot better, but I don't think Jerry Seinfeld is the problem.
I think the jokes in the B Movie are so bad they loop around and become funny again.
Yeah,
It's like they're funny because you're like, I can't believe they actually think this is funny, and it makes it funny.
we're definitely
So.
there's gonna be a B Movie recast at some point. It's gonna be a B cast.
The B cast.
All right, let's move on. So next week on the All Avengers Big Endgame spoilers themed recast, we have the episodes Fate of Destiny from the Marvel Superhero Squad show and Thanos Triumphant from Avengers Assembled. In both of these episodes, the Avengers desperately try to stop Thanos once he has completed his Infinity Gauntlet. The main feature of the next recast is that we are going to be having our big Endgame discussion. I'm going to be there. Monsters is going to be there. Tons of other people are invited. No one else is probably going to show up, but you're invited, Kuro, if the scheduling works out. But yeah, we're gonna have a big blowout. We're gonna talk about Endgame. We're gonna dissect every second of the film. Spoilers allowed. All right. Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff.
Well, on that note, Danny Phantom, just 14, just a young lad of 14, strange machine, world unseen, slam poetry.
Don't you love how he's 14 and like, at least in Ultimate Enemy, he's taking
Career aptitude test.
like college preparation tests.
All right, so in Danny Phantom, the Ultimate Enemy, which is oddly not even like a season finale, it's just like randomly in the middle of season 2. Basically the story is that Danny has this career aptitude test, which is like this weird amalgam of like SATs and standardized testing. Like they say it's a career aptitude test, but that's not what a career aptitude test is. You can't like fail one of those.
Yeah, it seems like it's basically the SAT.
So basically Dan's got this test coming up. Actually, how do you even describe the plot of this? Kuro, can you give it a try?
So Danny cheats on a test, and then because of that, his family and friends die.
Not
he
incorrect.
He goes to live with Vlad. His ghost half and Vlad's ghost half merge and become Dark Danny. And Danny dies. Then Dark Danny just starts ruling the earth. And Clockwork, this ghost, is like, I'm gonna stop that. And Dark Danny's like, no, you're not. So then young Danny has to fight Dark Danny, and then everything's fine in the end.
It's a very confusing story to like summarize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot
a lot
going
happens
on.
in like 45 minutes, which is
Lots
interesting.
of future,
Like
time
you
traveling.
told it in chronological order, which is not how like the episode plays out because we don't.
Oh no.
Yeah, but you did it. That's a good job. That's a good setting the scene. I'll be honest with you. If you haven't seen the Ultimate Enemy and you've seen Danny Phantom, like I don't know what you're doing. It's certainly one of, if not the best episodes of the show. I think.
I'd argue it's pretty watchable, like even if you've never seen the series,
Mm-hmm.
because like it's kind of like its own adventure. But it does like a really good job like reintroducing the elements of the show. It's like it's very easy to follow.
Yeah, because I haven't seen the show in a minute. I haven't seen Danny Phantom in a long time, but they reintroduce a lot of familiar elements, like certain villains, like the Box Ghost and Ember, and it really felt like what I remember the show tonally felt like.
And they set up early that Jazz knows his secret, but Danny doesn't know that she knows.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, that was actually that's one of my favorite parts of the episode because Dark Danny is essentially just this this conscious embodiment of evil. And he only has like one single humanizing moment in the whole thing when Jazz says to him that she knows that he's been a ghost this whole time and she's been covering for him and she's proud of everything he's done. And he looks at her with the most like genuine surprise and he's like, "You knew?" And that's like that's the only time he ever showed any emotion in the episode. So I really like that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that it's kind of hard to summarize, but it's just hard to summarize. It's not like it's really that hard to watch. I mean,
Comprehend.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is time travel shenanigans, which we'll talk about, and there is things that don't strictly make sense, but just in terms of like watching it on a surface level, yeah, it does introduce you to everything you need to know, and it doesn't, the way it tells its story is not, it's easy to follow along. It's not always the easiest to understand, like kind of what, basically there's two timelines. There's the timeline number one where Danny himself actually cheats on the test, and presumably Lancer and his parents and for some reason Tucker and Sam are at the Nasty Burger. We don't really know why in the original timeline, but they were all there meeting up to talk about Danny's test scores, and that's when the explosion goes off, killing them all, which leads Danny to go to Vlad, which leads Danny to rip out his humanity and then turn evil. And then there's the second timeline in which because now regular Danny has been transported to the future, Dark Danny is concerned that he's not going to exist anymore because there's been shenanigans. So Dark Danny himself goes back in time to essentially play out those events himself to ensure his own existence, which is really cool. Like that's an interesting twist, and in that sense, it's a relatively stable time loop because even though shenanigans happen with the time stream, Dark Danny is there to try to make sure it all makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is Dark Danny his actual name, by the way? That's what I've always called him. Okay.
Yeah, he's either Dark Danny. Some people call him Dan Phantom. But I don't even think he has like a distinguishable name in the show. Like I
Really?
think Dark Danny was kind of just became a thing. They don't call him Dark Danny in the show.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like I always called him that, but I was watching the episode. I'm like, wait a minute, it's just old evil Danny. Like that. I think they just say like the evil Danny or whatever.
One thing I wish I could experience again for the first time is I read like the advertisements for Ultimate Enemy never showed Dan Phantom or Dark Danny in the trailers. So like the premiere was supposed to shock people and reveal it was him. So I was trying to like watch the episode as if like I didn't know anything that was going to happen, and I like the way that they reveal it's Dark Danny.
Mm-hmm. And the title's great for that too. The Ultimate Enemy. Who's the
Mhm.
ultimate enemy?
Yeah.
Yourself. Like
Yeah.
Danny Phantom titles
Also,
are pretty.
Valerie being a ghost hunter in the future.
Well, she's a ghost hunter in the present too.
Yeah, but they don't really touch on it too much.
She gets a few episodes.
Yeah.
She's in the finale in a very small minor role. That doesn't matter. The show needs a Catwoman.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Black Cat would be the Spider-Man equivalent. Yeah, I mean that's a really cool way to introduce it because they set up that whole introductory scene where she's fighting an enemy, and because Dark Danny doesn't share a voice actor with Danny, it really isn't clear at all that that's Danny in the future. It's just like here's another evil villain, and also his knight is the Fright Knight, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Which he's not in it for very long, but
No, only the opening, right?
I think so. which also kind of makes you think maybe is it the enemy from Rainstorm? I don't remember who the enemy in Rainstorm is.
Ghost King.
Oh, okay, right. But yeah, like as a kid, I feel like that's probably what I thought, and that's probably what they were like hinting at. Because again, why would the Fright Night serve an adult evil dark Danny Phantom? Like it's good. You can't. Yeah, you're right. I can't really experience that again because Danny being an older evil self as like the main villain is like not a twist that you'll forget. So much of the movie's identity is tied up in that, or the special's identity.
Especially with the legacy of Danny Phantom now that has been out forever. Like, Dark Danny is probably, like, one of the things you see everywhere about the show. Like, if you hear Danny Phantom, everyone's talking about the ultimate enemy.
Mm-hmm. Because chronologically, even though Phantom Planet is the terrible finale, this is as far as we see into the future. And the future we see is presumably not the same in the end. Like, presumably it's fixed and saved. But it's still, I still feel like this does serve as a much better finale than Phantom Planet. Although it does kind of like, I don't know, it sequel hooks some things. Like I don't think the show should have ended after season 2 or anything. But like, I don't know, I would be satisfied with this kind of story as the finale story at least.
Yeah, as long as there wasn't the Vlad cliffhanger, I think this would have made a fantastic finale.
A really cool element of the episode is the 2 ghost fusions, basically, where, and I don't really know why Clockwork decided to do this, because I mean, he could have picked any ghost to fight Danny, but he picks Box Lunch, which is the child of the box ghost and the lunch lady, and as Danny very appropriately responds, ew.
So it's canon now that ghosts can have kids?
Well, you see, ghosts aren't actually ghosts, they're monsters. You should know this as a monster. They're not dead,
yes.
they're just
Ghosts reviews.
Yes. One thing I want to comment on is the voice work in this episode. Holy moly, I absolutely love the voice work. Dark Danny especially is really good. Oh my god, nails the menacing tone. Also Clockwork, David Carradine did a fantastic job. And one thing I noticed too is with Dark Danny and Clockwork, they added a little bit of reverb to their voices. Which I guess makes it sound a little bit more cinematic and more menacing.
Oh, they do that to all the ghosts. Like, it's very hard to tell, and I didn't notice until someone pointed out to me, but when Danny goes ghost, his voice gets an echo too.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah, and when he's not, it's just flat. And like if you listen for it, you can hear it, but it's like, there's subtle things, like he also gets a glowing outline and his skin is slightly darker.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, also, when time was going in reverse, I loved the reverse music effect that the music had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Oh, when watching this again, like, it really stuck out to me, like, how much Guy Moon scores are always, like, beat by beat.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Sometimes it can be a bit distracting when it's, like, a xylophone in the background going, like, do-do-do-do, like, every 5 seconds or something.
I wouldn't say background is what the music is. The music is, like, it's there, man.
It's a character.
Yeah.
It's front and center.
Yeah.
But the action scenes, it definitely sticks out. Like, I like how it's not just, like, a generic track. Like, everything's synced to the action. It's
right.
fantastic.
I certainly think this episode has a perfect balance between the intense emotional action and just silly comedy, because there's certainly that throughout the episode.
Kuro, I mean, do you think, and in my memory of the show, I don't think the show ever really gets as serious as this episode is really at any other point.
It has moments, but never where it's like the whole thing. Like,
right.
the one I was bringing up earlier about the alternate timeline. Mm-hmm. There's an episode where Jack gets infected with ectoacne instead of Vlad, and Jack becomes evil, and Vlad marries Maddie. And that's treated a little bit more serious, but it never hits like this level.
Right, and I mean, like, his Danny's family is in danger in Reality Trip as well, but it's like much more cartoony, like they're on an evil roller coaster, as opposed to here where we literally see them get blown up.
Yeah.
Like towards the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, you see it twice actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's actually faked out twice. And I mean it's because like special sauce is getting overheated. So there's still like a dark
Yeah.
comedy
Yeah, how
bent.
can Nasty Burger legally sell a sauce that is so dangerous, like where
It
it can
reminds me of
explode?
McSpanky's,
Well,
where it's like once it reaches past a certain meter, it just goes crazy.
I feel like any substance, if heated to a certain point, is probably like not good. I don't know that it explode.
I mean, wouldn't it just boil?
Yeah, but enough for like that guy like announced it in front of the whole school too. He's like, "Watch out for our sauce, kids."
yeah.
I also love when when it starts going crazy, and the manager's like, you guys signed the oath, you have to protect the special sauce, and they're like, yeah, we're on minimum wage, we don't get paid enough for this. And they just walk out.
I mean, other good jokes in the episode are when oh crud, what's the context of this? Where Danny says an older woman likes me. I don't even remember the context. Oh no.
Yeah, I remember
Oh.
that. Valerie says like,
Right.
"Oh, you must be younger. I always thought you were kind of cute." And he's like, "Wow, an older woman likes me."
And then oh god, there's a great line where Danny's studying for the cat test, and Jack walks by and he's like, "I failed that test, and I didn't turn out to be a cat." And it's great because you think the joke is he's gonna be like, "I didn't turn out to be a failure," because he kind of is in some ways. But instead he says he doesn't turn out to be a cat.
There was also the scream, which is weird because it's layered, like it's like and then it's like ooh, also beneath it, and he's like, yeah, I think I just hit puberty.
now I'm
Something
going
like
through
that.
evil puberty.
Yeah,
and,
evil puberty.
Lancer's exclamation of the episode was "South Beach Diet," so I thought that was funny.
Oh, and
Because normally it's like a book or something, like Catcher in the Rye.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, how about probably maybe the best joke in the episode where Danny's in the future and he sees the memorial to his family, and then he looks over and the memorial says "Gone but not forgotten," and then he looks over and there's a memorial of Lancer that just says "Gone." That's pretty dark.
Oh yeah, Mr. Lancer died too. See, I didn't even.
Yeah.
Because no one cares about Lancer.
I
he's
laughed
a
a
jerk.
lot at Future Ember.
Oh yeah, she got fed.
Yeah, it's funny because Box Ghost basically turned into like a bodybuilder, and then Ember turned into like
Yeah, Future
Um,
Box Ghost was pretty cool.
Beware.
I feel like I should have liked Skulk Tech more.
You didn't like Skulk
Tech?
because it sounds like a cool idea, and if they didn't do it, and I heard like, oh, there was going to be a Skulker Technus fusion, I would have been like, what? They should have done that. That's cool. But now that I see it, it's like I don't know. It didn't. I didn't feel anything.
Well, I
feel
guess
like
it got
should've.
defeated really easily the same way that was it Skulker? I think it was Skulker that got defeated that way, right? With this purpleback gorilla.
Yeah, that was Skulker.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
I mean, it's a continuity knot at least.
Oh yeah, when Tucker says like I was still able to hack into him with my handheld computer.
Well, see, that's the thing. I feel like the PDA has looped back around that if kids were to watch it today, they would just assume that it's like a weird looking like iPad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right? Like
yeah.
the technology has looped in a very strange way that it's like PDAs are kind of sort of what we use now, or that it's a cell phone, right? Like
Right.
Yeah. Oh, on that topic, even though this is a little bit random, but in the Kim Possible reboot, when they redid the theme song and they kept the "Call Me Beep Me," are the kids gonna get what "beep me" means? 'Cause we don't have pagers.
oh, the kids
At
know what
all.
beep me means.
Beep beep beep.
I was surprised
Yeah.
that they kept that line. Oh yeah, don't they also say if you want to page me, it's okay in the full version?
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised they kept it. That's just a tangent that that's been bugging me. But back to
Yeah.
Danny Phantom.
I love the quote that Clockwork, I think he says something along the lines of towards the end, you've given everyone else a second chance, why not yourself?
And on that specific story beat, I love that instead of just like making it so that Danny never had the answers or whatever, Danny still has to
Right.
face the fact that he did break the seal on the test and was at least considering cheating. I mean, we don't really know whether, well, I guess in the original timeline Danny did cheat, so presumably he would have without the timeline being changed. But like Danny has to own up to that. Instead of it just being like magical time rewind, no consequences, Danny still has to face consequences. And that's a really good story beat.
One thing I just realized is like, who meets your high school teacher at a fast food joint?
Yeah. Well, and again, this gets back to why were Tucker and Sam in the first timeline? Why were they there? Like, it makes sense why Jazz would be there. I mean, if Lancer calls the meeting there, maybe he wanted it off school grounds so he could deal with it himself and ruin Danny's future.
Wait a second. The Nasty Burger got destroyed because of Danny's fight with Box Lunch, right?
Yes.
So in the original timeline, before Box Lunch came there, why did the Nasty Burger overheat?
Just negligence.
That makes me think
gotta love continuity.
That makes me think there's no time of first timeline and it's all just one time loop, and there's just no explanation for it.
Well,
Either that or like, I don't know. Maybe it got destroyed a different way.
Yeah, maybe Danny was fighting something else. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, do you want to get into the whole timeline thing, the whole logic of it all? I mean, I think the biggest question. Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, in general, this episode I think does a good job of justifying a lot of its science fiction elements, whereas Phantom Planet like just didn't at all. I think that like certain things like the timeline, okay, maybe it doesn't all line up. Maybe there's pieces we don't know about what happened in the first timeline, but we get enough bits and pieces to know vaguely how it went down. Maybe the gang was not at the Nasty Burger for the same reason the second time around. Maybe they were at the Nasty Burger and Danny showed up to try to stop Lancer from telling. I don't know. Anyway, I think really the main sticking point for me story-wise is, why does Dark Danny still exist at the end of the episode?
I think it's because,
aside from sequel hook, aside from the fact that they wanted to make another Dark Danny episode even though they never did.
well, I mean, he's technically a fusion of Danny and Vlad's ghost halves. So he's technically like a different entity, and I think like that gives him the ability to detach himself from the timeline. Cause I mean, if you like, it's just a theory, but if you really get into it, like ghost powers can pretty much do anything. Like Clockwork is a time ghost, so perhaps like I don't know, ghost energy gives him a prevention of the timeline. Because he at some point he does say to Danny like that he's still here and he still exists. So
right. So the show brings up the point that, you know, this is like Back to the Future rules, where if Danny changes the past, the future should change as well. I mean, I think the dark implications are that there's a potential for Danny to still turn into that in another way.
he could just be like from the original timeline, because maybe it's like multiverse theory,
Right.
where like even though Danny lives in a different timeline, the other timeline still exists. So
Which is why I'm not super bothered by it. Like, that's the thing. With any time travel story, there's going to be like weird loose ends that don't make sense 100%. But as long as it's mostly justified, and they do a good job of mostly justifying this stuff, I can buy it, and I can just be like, okay, whatever. They want to tell this story. It doesn't all add up, and they want to keep Dark Danny around as a possible future villain. Fine.
awesome.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel. Do you guys feel?
I mean, it was confirmed by Steve Marmol that if Danny Phantom got picked up for a season 4, Dark Danny definitely would have returned. So they did have plans for it.
I mean, they could have done that in Phantom Planet.
But honestly, I mean, he didn't return because the show's over, but had he had the opportunity to, I wouldn't have wanted him to, because I feel like that would ruin his story. Like, they did one special in the 3rd season, with this, I almost said alien, ghost called Undergrowth, the Vine dude.
That wasn't a special, by the way. It was advertised as a special, but it's just still a regular 22-minute episode.
Yeah, I know, and it even got a video game spin-off. Which
so
is
dumb.
bananas, but
And it was aired out of order, too. It was aired out of order. Danny has freeze powers, but he didn't have freeze powers before.
Yep.
Sorry, that's always bothered me.
Yeah,
I was a
and
kid, that
he
really
knew
confused
Frostbite,
me.
and Vlad was mayor, and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
Thanks,
But
Nickelodeon.
yeah, so like, what was my point? Oh, so Undergrowth was like a whole big deal and everything, but then he just like comes back in Phantom Planet as a small cameo, and like I kind of hate when villains do that. So I'm really glad Dark Danny never came back, or else it would have ruined like his legacy. Like Ultimate Enemy probably
Right.
wouldn't be as good if he was in other episodes. This is all you can get him. So
That's fair. Also, you make a good point. I mean, I never really put it together, but the fusions of the Box Lunch and of Skulk Tech, they're kind of foreshadowing the fact that Dark Danny is himself a fusion.
yeah,
Like, it's not like it's hidden in the episode, but it's just kind of interesting that that theme extends beyond that. And here, like, what I love about this is that there's enough care in this special that it really does feel like it's a movie, because in a lot of other episodes of Danny Phantom, and in a lot of other episodes of a lot of shows, it's kind of surface level stuff. The episodes aren't really about anything. There's no like overarching theme. It's just like, here's a fun story we're gonna tell for 11 minutes. But in this episode, they talk about kind of like future. They talk about the future. They talk about how one bad decision can kind of lead to other bad decisions. They talk about the idea of like, once Danny has nothing to lose anymore, he kind of like lost his humanity. Like they don't go super in depth into anything, but they do kind of touch on some very real things that like other episodes, I guess like Reality Trip, really have none of that at all. And then that combined with things like the score being like really well handled, and the voice acting being top notch, and the story being pretty complex for what it is, it really does make this episode stand out among Danny Phantom's, even among the other specials on Danny Phantom, I think.
Yeah, and as a way to transition into the other special, if we're ready to talk about that, whereas both of them are 45 minutes, this one, it did feel like a whole movie because so much happened in it. And Rainstorm was over before I knew it. Like that, despite being 45 minutes, felt super quick. Like I felt like nothing really happened in it. And yeah. I don't know.
Just real quick before we transition, I guess the only other thing I wanted to say before we move on is just that that stupid. I hate the hook they do about Vlad being like, or I could just kill you myself, and then he doesn't. It's just like, what? If you go to commercial break after that and is back, and then Jane's just back in the right timeline, and it's like, I mean, we know that Danny could have told Vlad, like, I mean, you could kill me, but it won't change anything because evil me is in the past and is going to make sure this happens regardless. But, like, it just seemed like a really needless, like, commercial break hook that doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah, I don't, especially because of, like, he just finished saying how he's not really evil anymore. I really like that scene too. I think it might even be like my favorite part of the episode, because like I always have a soft spot for Vlad's character development, because like depending on who writes him, sometimes he's like a mustache twirling Fruit Loop, but like other times he's a little bit complex. He's like a misguided victim of Jack's incompetence, and went crazy trying to rebuild a life without emotional support. Because like no matter what Vlad says, his real number one goal above everything else is to have a family of his own. Like everything he's ever done has been trying to like fill that empty hole. So I like that scene.
He's way more interesting trying to get Danny to kind of become his surrogate son than he is just being evil.
Oh yeah, and I hate that like there's basically two different Vlads on the show, because one of them is like that and the other's the Phantom Planet version, I guess.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna reveal myself. Yeah. Oh, and my name is Pladmius, which is like my name, but more evil.
Yeah.
It's like, what is wrong with you? Yeah, that scene in general, and this is a perfect transition point, with the gauntlets, the ghost gauntlets. It's pretty brutal, because it's like, first we see Danny's ghost half being ripped out of him, and then we see Vlad's ghost half being ripped out of him. And then they merge. And then Vlad's like, Danny's like, well, what happened to my other half? And Vlad's like, some things are better left unsaid. And it's just like, that is so much more effective than anything that they could have actually shown.
Yeah, that was really great.
Yeah.
It also kind of explains why Dark Danny can disguise himself as like 14-year-old Danny. Because if he stopped existing at 14, I assume that's where like he transformed into. It doesn't 100% make sense, but it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the other gauntlet, Reality Trip.
Dumpty Humpty.
Okay, so basically it's school's out for the summer, and Danny and Sam and Tucker are going to go on this road trip to go to all these places that are like their one character trait. And it turns out that Circus Freak. Freak Show. Whatever. Freak Show? Circus Freak? What's his name?
Freak Show.
Freak Show. Okay. That Freak Show has the Infinity Gauntlet and is going to change reality, and then the trio sends the Infinity Stones off to their designated locations, and then they have to go on a trip to catch the stones. And then that's it. And then they come back and Danny uses psychology to beat Circus Guy.
They go on a cross-country road trip trying to evade the Fed.
The guys in white.
Yeah. Mr. White and Mr. Black.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember the Circus Gothica episode. I think that's the season 1 finale, actually, right?
Something like that.
I remember that as being a pretty standout episode from earlier in the show. And Freak Show is pretty was pretty like menacing and interesting in that episode. He's a little less so here. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
Did you guys like him?
He's-
Like I thought he was like okay. Like I didn't think he was like awful, and they did kind of give him something to do psychologically. But other than that, I mean, you could replace him with literally any ghost on the show, and for the most part, it doesn't change.
Yeah, just kind of silly, easily humiliated.
Yeah, not very good at his shtick, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really been super attached to him, anyways. But I don't
I mean, the
don't
funny
hate
thing-
him. Like, he's not annoying, but
Thanos.
Right. Like I wouldn't say that he's like awful, but I just he's not that interesting. And the weird thing is that he's the main like human villain on the series. Like I mean, you could count Vlad, but I wouldn't. And there's like antagonistic characters like the guys in white and like the ghost hunters in the last episode. But he's really like the only like evil human. And that's something, but they don't really I mean they kind of use that in the episode, kind of.
I love how he's voiced by Alan Harper from Two and a Half Men.
Oh. Really?
Yep, John Cryer, I think.
Yes, John Cryer.
He's also Lex Luthor on Supergirl right now too.
Well, he does a good job. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Ghost Freak's pretty
Ghost Ray.
Theatric.
See, now you're doing it.
I'm just gonna call him Thanos. Yeah. Okay. So can I like they stole the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
Uh,
And it's like
All the
I
different
don't
gems.
I think it's just weird now because like as a kid I wasn't like super into superheroes and I didn't even know what the Infinity Gauntlet was, so I didn't notice. But like nowadays I don't even think they would be able to do this.
But yeah, no, it's not like we're saying that it's like, haha, it's similar to the Infinity War from 2018. No, the Infinity Gauntlet's been a thing in the Marvel comics for years. Like, this came out far after that, and it certainly wouldn't be the first thing borrowed from comics and Danny Phantom.
What?
And I feel like maybe they picked something that was relatively obscure at the time because they felt like they could get away with it.
Definitely not now.
No. Well, now it would definitely be a parody. This isn't a parody of the Gauntlet. It's just like, here's a really really pathetic version of it. Because like what is up with these like, okay, so one gem is the gem of form, right? It can shapeshift anything. Okay, fine. That's a cool power, I guess. Like shape is a basic building block of the universe, whatever. The next one is the animate one, where it makes things come to life. Like, okay, I guess that's kind of like the Soul Stone or whatever. Like, sure. The third one is the Gem of Fantasy. What does that mean?
It means that the first two gems are obsolete because if your dreams can become reality, then it can do shape and form.
Right.
I mean, form in life.
And
so.
the fourth gem, which isn't even on the title card, by the way, it's just a power source. Like, they don't even bother. It's like, well,
Yeah.
Which he so happens to have.
yeah, this earring. Okay.
They don't even explain how the guys in white got the gauntlets. Like, the episode starts and they already have everything together.
Yeah.
Don't you love how Danny Tucker and Sam can just like think, and they just so happen to think about 3 separate places, and it just so happens the stones got located there?
And Freak Show is swole enough to carry them all in midair with his one arm. Like, why was his arm massive in that one scene?
And why does he get no say in where these gems go? Like, if that's the defense mechanism, why doesn't the power gem go anywhere? Like, what? Like, there's so much about this that's just not thought out, I feel, and
This is a strong tonal shift from Ultimate Enemy.
yeah.
It's like the good and the bad of Danny Phantom.
And this is the season 2 finale. Why is this one the season 2 finale?
Speaking of things that are thought out, though, Jack Fenton's security measures, man. That's one thing I did really enjoy about this episode. Just like when you think that Jack, like, just when you think like the hijinks are done and like they're on their next escape route, there's just something else that Jack planned ahead of time to help them get out of a tricky situation.
Yeah, man, hover cars. I just sell that. Forget the ghost stuff.
I
Yeah.
love how
Let
he
Luthor
puts
a
his
check.
face on everything too.
Well, did you guys catch the airplane reference?
Oh crap! I feel like I did. I
The
can't quote it.
inflatable Jack. That's the
Oh
autopilot.
no! Then
Oh yeah,
That's
then
an
no, I
airplane
didn't.
reference. Yeah.
Oh.
yes. I did love though how it's just like, oh, they go into the top, the windows close, it hovers up, turns into a blimp, then there's airplanes, and then
Right.
there's hover cars, and it's just like it's so funny.
Hey, Kuro.
Yeah.
You know what I love? When Danny's powers get randomly knocked out for literally no reason other than that they have to mosh pit away.
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
Oh no, my powers are gone, and then they just randomly come back.
It's like,
Yep.
okay. And how about also story perspective. So a strong element like in the very beginning of this is that Danny Sam's parents are not like on board with this trip that they're going to take, and they're very against the Fentons ghost hunting and all that, and how it puts everyone in danger, etc., etc. There's this big stink about like they blame the Fentons and all this. Sam's and Tucker's family, they just stop existing at a certain point in the episode. Why did they set that up? Why was that important to anything?
I don't know. They gotta have the angry parents in it. In fact, this episode.
Is it wait, hang on. Is it because that was the crux of the first Freak Show episode? Did they feel like they were following it up, but then they just didn't do anything with it? Because I remember that was the whole thing where the Fentons and Sam's family were feuding because they thought like Sam was a bad influence on Danny and Danny was a bad influence on Sam. Right?
Yeah, that kind of got resolved in that episode though. Like I honestly don't even know why the parents were in this one. Like I guess to
Right.
raise the stakes, but like that's one of those things like there in this and in Fairly Odd Parents, like I see so many of the same repeated tropes. Like parents locked in a cage, that was an Escape from Wish Island. Parents finding out the secret, that happens all the time in Fairly Odd Parents, like
And
every
Danny
season.
Phantom.
Yeah. A magical wave goes over the earth and changes the major statues and monuments into something else. That was an abracatastrophe.
Yeah.
Summer
Yep.
vacation, they had schools out. In future where everyone's buff and technological, Channel Chasers. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing the same things over and over again. It's like-
If I remember correctly, the Mount Rushmore from this episode looked like the founding fathers from that one Fairly Odd Parents episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they used the same still.
Yeah, and of course Danny's parents and Jazz were trapped in Ultimate Enemy.
Yeah,
the
it's
villain.
just this episode was just like a basket of cliches that amounted to nothing because everything got reset in the end.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, apparently Danny is strong enough to destroy the Infinity Gems, or whatever, reality gems.
yeah, man. See, forget Captain Marvel. Just recruit Danny Phantom.
Yeah, he
Like-
had no problem. He just threw it in the sky. Boom! Wow, great.
Yeah, no problem ripping that glove off of Freak Show.
Yeah, no Star-Lord to get in Danny's way. Do you guys like when Freak Show turns Danny into Jello and puts him like in front of the evil roller coaster that the families are on, and then he gets run into by the roller coaster, and for some reason that's played for drama. Like his family's like, no, and it's like, did anyone believe that they were gonna kill Danny in like a Jello way? Like,
And then he's fine 2 minutes later. Like
Yeah,
it
like-
just wears off.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, like the fake death happens a lot in Danny Phantom, a lot, but like, why
I don't know.
why would they choose that moment? That's like a really goofy moment to try to play for drama.
It's like the Vlad scene from the last episode where he's like, "Or I could just kill you." It's like just meaningless drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just did it, and there's no payoff.
Oh, by the
But-
way, that Vlad moment in Ultimate Enemy, that happens again in Phantom Planet, where Danny goes to recruit the ghosts, and Skulker's like, "Or I could just kill you." And then after the commercial, he just comes flying out of the portal with all the ghosts.
Yeah, I think they just
Yeah.
want to lampshade how ridiculous it is that they team up, but they don't care enough to give a reason.
Yeah,
They're
well,
like,
I
"Oh,
thi-
I should be killing you, but I'm not gonna."
Kuro, I think the real reason is that it's a good drama moment that'll get kids to stick around, but they don't actually expect people to remember it by the time the commercials are over.
Yeah.
So,
Sucks for you,
couple
streaming
things.
exists. Yes.
first off, what did you guys think of Lydia? She was just kind of there because without her, Freak Show would have been like
Powerless.
no competition to
Yeah.
Danny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for her. She's not allowed to speak, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of wanted her to come back in a future episode because I like the idea of her powers.
Yeah, the
But
tattoos.
honestly,
were
when
cool.
you said Lydia, I didn't even know who you were talking about for a second because I didn't remember
Mhm.
her name.
yeah, she doesn't.
Just
She's
yeah.
not really.
There was-
She's just a
There was a
tool.
lot of random things in this episode that like
yeah.
I think about and I'm like, why was this in there? Like
Did you like the-
Paulina,
Oh.
what?
Did you like Diamond Head's cameo?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's. I mean, it's a coincidence, but man, that's like the same shade as Diamond Head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe he was cosplaying as Diamond years before Ben 10 came out.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Men in White, like, they have a really strong presence towards the beginning of the episode and are just chasing down Danny, Sam, and Tucker, but by the end of the episode, they're gone.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're,
what I was
like,
gonna
never
say.
brought up again.
There's like, yeah, that it was introduced, never brought up again. Paulina and Dash helping them out, they just kind of disappear. Like this episode
Well-
starts so many things, and then just at the end, it just ends.
Well, you see, Pauline and the bully guy like ghost Danny, but not regular Danny, because that's what happens in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
The teens all like Spider-Man, but they don't like puny Parker. LOL. Dash and Flash. Haha. I get it.
Ha.
Ripping off
I
is
also-
fun.
I really liked Sam's character in this episode because like she was very like I don't know, whenever something like ridiculous happens, like she would also always be the one to like point it out. And
She's
it's weird
pretty
'cause-
proactive too. At least she like researches how to stop Freak Show.
Yeah. You'd think that'd be like Tucker's job, but does Tucker even really do anything? Like you think
He's got the PDA.
he's like
That's
you think of him as like the tech guy, but he's not because Danny uses all of Jack's inventions. Tucker doesn't really do anything.
Well, in the last episode, Tucker helped design the thing that transported the intangibility all over the world.
oh yeah, like they mass produced these giant cables the size of the entire Earth in like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tucker and Valerie are
Yeah,
important enough
Yeah,
to
no wonder Tucker's mayor.
right.
Don't you love how the Men in White are just shooting like these super weapons at a bunch of teenagers and like they're just on these like floating ATVs dodging all of it?
Yeah.
Like they have some sort of combat experience.
This episode.
I mean, I guess in some ways maybe they do.
I mean, this episode's ridiculous. Like, I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
don't even hate this episode. It's just
It's
kind
over
of
the top.
right. It's just like because clearly it's just about like the fun of it. Really, it's about like the fun road trip. It's about this gauntlet. It's about stealing ideas from Marvel. That's all it's about. You know, it's just innocent fun. Don't think about it. No, but I can't in good faith say that this is like a good TV movie. Why was this a TV
Danny
movie?
Phantom, Infinity Trip.
This was definitely the most forgettable one too. And like
Oh,
the
yeah.
premise makes it sound like it's not. Like someone has a gauntlet that controls reality. It's like
controls fantasy.
it sounds like it should be a lot cooler than it. Yeah, same with Skulk Tech and I don't know.
Why is-
Danny Phantom has a lot of good ideas, but
Yeah, why is fantasy on? I know we mentioned this, but like, it's the reality gauntlet, right? Why would
Yeah.
fantasy be a part of reality?
why is it called the reality gauntlet in the first place if it's like I
Because
don't
it
know.
sounds like Infinity.
I do like some of the things they were doing with the gauntlet though, which I thought was
Mhm.
interesting, and I almost like how this gauntlet was used more than the actual Infinity Gauntlet was used in Avengers
Oh,
Infinity War.
Don't even.
Just because like I mean Thanos really just kind of shot lasers. Like he did that one thing to
What?
Drax and
no, no.
No.
Mantis.
No.
Then there was this Doctor Strange fight. I will give him that and everything, but I mean when it comes down to it, like in this episode with the Infinity Gauntlet, the Reality Gauntlet, like they were really like doing some crazy random things, like transforming stuff, like warping things, like summoning giant things. That's what I thought Thanos was gonna do. And
I
like
mean- Oh, sorry.
I don't know. I just if you have something that powerful, I wanted a little bit more randomness to it. Like you're really warping reality, and
Thanos
I-
is not written in a Danny Phantom style.
yeah.
Freak Show's a goof, and Thanos is like actually a well-written, intriguing, very intimidating
No,
villain.
Thanos trumps Freak Show entirely. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
I wanted to see Thanos like warp reality a bit more, and you don't really get that. But I don't know. Maybe he will in Endgame.
I mean, does Thanos have ghost envy? okay. I will say, I like the idea that Danny tricked him into becoming a ghost to trap him. Like I think that was actually decently well executed, and that was something that was foreshadowed from the beginning of the episode that actually pays off. Do you guys not agree?
Like, I don't know. Like, explain a little more.
Well, I mean, instead of Danny like just punching his way to defeating the villain, he has to actually like use his psychological weakness against him to make him turn himself into a ghost.
Yeah,
That's
I like that.
That's more clever than most things on Danny Phantom.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, how does he defeat Dark Danny? By like punching him a bunch, basically.
I mean, he kind of does that to a few other villains too. Like he basically, one thing Danny does a lot is he just annoys the villains until they slip up. And this was just kind of another one of those things. It's different every
strategy.
time, but yeah, it's like, I mean, there was this one episode with Skulker, Technus. I think the second time the age stealing lady came back with the hospital. I don't remember for sure. I don't remember how that ended, but I feel like that was one of them. But there's a couple episodes.
He turns her into a boogie monster because of Jack Fenton.
What? Okay, I need to rewatch that one.
You don't remember that? She fuses with his he has like a rag from Jack's, and
I kind of remember that. There's like a 5 or 6 Danny Phantom episodes that I like never rewatch because I didn't really like them, and that's one of them.
The hospital episode is really good. It's a better Halloween episode than the actual one.
Yeah, I'll probably rewatch it.
Okay.
Like I never rewatch Boxed Up Fury.
Yeah, you don't need to see that one again.
Yeah.
That's fine. But anyway, back to Reality Trip. So did you guys? I mentioned that this is kind of like about nothing, and I do think that this special really is about nothing. But it felt like at the end when like Danny's family was accepting him for what he is, that really, in today's context, that really felt like they were kind of pushing like a parallel about like Danny's sexuality. Did you guys feel that at all?
No,
No,
I didn't.
Well, because you know, he's like, they're like, well, why would you think we wouldn't like you? And he's like, well, because you're always talking about destroying ghosts. And I don't know, like, I don't think it was intentional, and I'm not saying it's like a poignant thing, even unintentionally. I just kind of saw the parallels there, and it's just like,
I mean, I guess in today's context,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was intentional.
Otherwise, I wouldn't.
But the only reason I wouldn't is just because of the source of this production.
No. I'm not saying it was intentional. I'm just saying with today's context, that's what it feels like because
okay.
They
then yeah,
say
no,
that
totally,
like we love you no matter what you are. Like I don't know, some of the dialogue choices feel, and maybe it was just supposed to be applied to like generic like, you know, child has thing that parents don't particularly like or agree with or whatever, and like that could be applied to anything. But it just kind of I don't know. I just kind of found it funny. Yes, especially because of who made this.
We should have gotten that in Phantom Planet. Like that's like anything like significant like in Phantom Planet. Like we needed more
Phantom
stakes
Planet's
and emotion.
A movie
and
about
stuff.
nothing. That's like there's no theme to that, and there is no theme to this. And it is weird because structurally it's like the beginning of this episode sets up so many things. The guys in white, Danny's secret being revealed to his classmates, and his family, like his family getting captured, where the stones can get teleported. Like there's just like so many elements to this. The guys in white, and then like the middle of it is just the most formulaic. Like go here, find gem, fight thing. Go here, find gem, fight thing. Go here, find gem, fight thing. Go back.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing a video game.
Yeah, it's like very structured.
Yeah, I even just watched it like 2 days ago, and I still like can't really like feel super invested in the episode. It's I don't know. Every time I watch it, I like it less and less.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like what Monsters was saying is just that like a lot of like the technology just like randomly Jack's thing will transform into like these hover cars, and it's just kind of like when they have like the power to do basically anything, it just kind of makes the stakes. It doesn't make them feel desperate. Like it makes them feel like they got any power that they want.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was mostly to the effect of humor and just how exaggerated it was. But but you're right, in the context of them getting away with it, it's kind of unfair.
Yeah. Also, Tucker really likes that animal human hybrid.
Yeah. He's the first furry on TV, I guess.
Breaking new grounds. Yeah.
Ultimate Enemy, that takes it.
Well,
Yeah.
hang
Hands
on,
down.
hang on. Which one had the better use of gauntlets?
Yeah, Reality Trip.
You think?
Because I mean, the gauntlets in Ultimate Enemy were only there for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
I say Ultimate Enemy. I would rather like emotional Danny getting his humanity ripped out of him than ooh.
I wouldn't even consider that a gauntlet. It was like
They're ghost gauntlets.
Wolverine.
That's the name of the things.
I call them Wolverine claws.
I mean, because I also like that Danny put on the gauntlet at the end too.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going around and using it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then he destroyed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just liked seeing him with it.
But Danny puts on the gauntlets, the ghost gauntlets in Ultimate Enemy. I think they're better in Ultimate Enemy. I really feel like this Infinity Gauntlet is just like the worst version of the Infinity Gauntlet.
One quick thing that bugged me about ripping out the ghost half is that that exact same thing happened in a different episode of Danny Phantom, and his ghost half was like overly heroic.
Right.
But in this one, he's
Identity
like
Crisis. I meant
dead
yeah.
evil. Yeah. So like, I don't know.
Well, I think it was more the trauma of like everyone dying that made him kind of down the dark path. Not just strictly that his ghost half is like evil.
What was he trying to do? Like, he was gonna have Vlad rip his humanity out? Like,
No, I mean it makes sense to me in the fact that like he didn't want to grieve anymore, so he probably felt that if he could remove his human half, then like the ghost half is like a monster that doesn't need to feel grief.
so did he want to be the ghost half and remove his human half, and the opposite happened, or?
he wanted his humanity ripped out, as Vlad said.
Okay.
I don't know that his plan was to always become evil. I don't really specifically know why he merged with Vlad, but it could just be that it could also be that he had to live with Vlad. Like, they kind of gloss over it, but like his whole family dies and he has to go live with his mortal enemy. Like, that's not a happy time for Danny.
Yeah.
Which episode had the better family getting captured trope?
I'd say Ultimate Enemy.
Yeah.
They get blown up
blew
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting blown up is a lot more interesting than spooky
Yeah.
roller coaster.
Plus, I hate whenever they cartoon characters are in a cage and the bars are so wide they could easily just walk through it.
Hey, don't be insensitive to plus size Jack. Jack ain't going
Yeah,
nowhere.
Jack's trapped, I guess. They got Jack.
And which episode had the better? We didn't really talk about it in Ultimate Enemy, but it's kind of brief, but Danny's family finds out about him being a ghost. The best thing about it is where they're like, Denny Phantom, duh. I think Jack says that.
I like I like it in Ultimate Enemy better.
They're
The
like
reveal.
angry at first in Ultimate Enemy.
Which is more realistic because there's a lot of emotions because their son lied to them. Their son was the thing that they hated. There's just like a
at
lot.
first they think like Danny's really that, like Dark Danny, because then
Right.
he says, "I am your boy." So his identity really doesn't get revealed that way. I don't think, because then like younger Danny shows up and then says, "I won't turn into that." I think that's when like the real reveal was, and
Mhm.
then they're not as angry.
And that one makes sense that it goes back because it's just the time got rewind. That's a lot better than, oh my god, in Reality Trip it's awful. His family's like, we'll support you no matter what, and Danny's like, well, I don't want that, and then he just changed his reality. Ha ha.
Yeah, there's really no point for him keeping his secret from his parents. Like, that's all, I always thought that was dumb. Everyone else I get it, but he really should tell his parents. And
It would have been more interesting if his parents didn't approve and he felt like he had to sadly revert things. Like, that's interesting. His parents being like, "You're the best son. We love you no matter what," and then him being like,
great.
I don't want your love. Bye. And you can't even say them knowing his secret puts them in danger because they spent the whole dang movie in danger.
Yeah.
Which episode had the better Jazz? Because Jazz
Ultimate Enemy.
Yeah.
Because in Reality Trip, she was kind of more just a characterized version of herself. But
Ghost
Ultimate
Envy.
Enemy. Yeah. I mean, what's that episode where they're camping in the desert and Youngblood shows up? That's another episode.
Pirate
where
Radio.
Yeah. No. Pirate Radio is the one with Ember. Oh, well, whatever that episode is, that's another episode where I don't really like Jazz's character. She's kind of just like over exaggerated version of herself. But in Ultimate Enemy, she was a lot more humanized, and like especially that scene where she's talking to older Danny about how she knew his secret and everything, and then she throws
Right.
the boomerang into the ghost zone to try
Which
to find him,
Which is a clever plot point. I like
Yeah.
that.
because it was just drifting around for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Good battery life
Um,
on that thing.
Yeah,
um,
Fenton power.
yeah, and it is also worth noting that Ultimate Enemy did change that status quo about Danny Phantom. I mean, aside from him getting the ghostly whale, which is decent in and of itself, the fact that Danny knows that Jazz knows that changes the series, and it's good that like something as big and interesting as Ultimate Enemy did
Yeah,
that.
that stayed. I like that. So there was some permanent
Mhm.
changes, and he keeps the ghost whale. Yeah. So yeah, I like Ultimate Enemies a lot better because things happen, things matter. Like it changes things. Reality Trip is just it's basically a what if.
Yeah, I mean, it literally gets rewritten by the end.
Yeah.
Like it's basically like it didn't even happen. And I guess it didn't even happen. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Ultimate Enemy just wins hands down.
Yeah.
I don't think the show ever got as good as that again, in my opinion. Not that everything else is bad, but just like it really did raise the stakes, and it really did kind of like set a bar very high for the show.
Yeah.
Monsters?
No, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
All right, well, we got a viewer comment from Heads or Tails 5050 or 5050, and they say, "All right, I'll be that guy. I think Reality Trip is the better episode. I don't really think Reality Trip is an amazing episode, but so much of Ultimate Enemy rubs me the wrong way. The episode tries to suggest that Danny's cheating on this test is this horrible evil thing that makes him directly responsible for the horrible future. The events that actually caused this future, though, are the Nasty Burgers explosion and the fusion on Danny and Vlad's ghost halves, both of which are largely outside Danny's control. I find it absurd that Sam is able to deduce that Danny's cheating caused the horrible future when she didn't hear future Vlad's story. It's just such a huge leap in logic when the cheating only provided a convoluted chain of events largely irrelevant to it. If this future is supposed to be a result of Danny's evil actions, it would have made far more sense if, for example, during his fight with Box Lunch, Danny accidentally causes an explosion that kills his family and friends. In that scenario, it is Danny's reckless use of his ghost powers that could lead to his guilt in wanting Vlad to take his ghost half away. There are other issues, such as when future Vlad says he can destroy Danny to prevent the horrible future, only for Danny to come back fine in the next scene. It's like there's a scene missing here. I can see why people like this episode. The opening and the final fight between Danny and his future counterpart are really good. Jazz is absolutely fantastic. Overall, though, while Reality Trip isn't as ambitious, it's a much more straightforward story that's easier to follow, while I always found Ultimate Enemy really cool at some parts, but in general really confusing.
I disagree with the absurdity of the Nasty Burger explosion and him cheating being the cause of all this. I originally did think that too upon airing, like when I was young. But the more I think about it, I think it's a better choice because it really shows like how uncertain the future can be, like the butterfly effect. Like Danny cheats on a test. Danny cheats on a test, and it creates this spiraling snowball of events that lead up to it. And yes, it is him cheating because if he didn't cheat, Mr. Lancer wouldn't have called the meeting, and they wouldn't have been at the Nasty Burger. Whereas if his recklessness with his ghost powers is the reason for his family's death, it's just another story about, oh, you got to control your powers better and be another hero.
Yeah, he'll just
Like-
quit being a hero, and that'll be Phantom
Yeah.
Planet again. No, I think this is a very interesting comment. I very much appreciate the person for leaving it, but I gotta agree with Kuro. I mean, I don't think it's meant to be taken like literally, like if you cheat on one test, everyone around you is going to die. I think it's more just like it shows how one bad decision has consequences even far beyond what you think. And Danny cheating is equivocally a bad decision. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's more metaphorical than it is quite literal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not trying to suggest that like Danny's cheating itself is what made him evil. Like it's that Danny made a bad decision, and then because of that bad decision, he lost the people that ground him, and that led to more bad decisions. He still decided to have his humanity ripped out of him. He still decided to merge with Vlad. Like, I wouldn't say that Danny's responsibility is completely averted in becoming Dark Danny. Just because the Nasty Burger thing was kind of a freak accident doesn't mean that he didn't take steps to make himself the way he was. But very good comment.
Yeah, and especially how he has to come back and change like as a person too. Like he still has to choose to not cheat on the test and everything.
Right.
That's like a hard character development growth. Where if it was just about his powers, all that would change is now he's more skilled. That's not really a character feat. That's just a tactical advantage.
Okay, and we also have our Twitter poll, wherein 76% of people chose Ultimate Enemy, and 24% of people chose Reality Trip. That's actually surprisingly high on Reality Trip.
Yeah, I'm surprised anybody chose Reality Trip.
Same. But we had 369 votes, so that's pretty good. Okay,
Cool stuff.
yeah. So we are going to play another round of Real or Fake, Real or Scary, where I will read off a title of a Danny Phantom episode, and it's either going to be a real title or it's going to be something I completely made up. There's going to be 5 rounds, and we're going to try to get through this pretty quickly. Okay.
Okay.
So, number 1. Forever Phantom. And Monsters is going to go first.
I'll say that's real.
Girl?
I will say that's real because I think I remember hearing this episode title and it made it sound like it was going to be a cooler episode than what it was actually about.
A ghost with morphing abilities named Amorpho impersonates Danny Fenton for the attention, but both he and the actual Danny Phantom get locked in their forms by a Fenton device stuck in the crossroads of fame and madness from the Citizens Amity Park and 2 angry Fenton parents out for Danny Phantom himself.
Oh, yeah.
That
I remember
already
that one.
kind of sounds like when he gets split. Alright, 1-1. Night of the Spooky Box.
I'll say this is real.
I'm going to say fake.
Yeah, that's 100% fake. But it would have been a Box Ghost episode.
Did you just
so-
make that up right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't plan things.
All of our fake titles seem to have the word night.
The
Day
ghost,
of the Living Box is the real episode.
the ghost sings at midnight. It's an Ember episode. Okay, so Monsters at 1, Kuro is at 2. Number 3. What You Want.
I'll say that's fake.
That's real. That's the Desiree episode.
Kuro is correct. Kuro is 3 for 3. Monsters is stuck at 1 forever.
Forever. Forever Phantom.
Real. No. Okay. Control Freak.
I think that's a real episode.
Oh, man. I got a subtle suspicion this is a trick, and it's like Control Freaks is the real episode title.
Would he do that?
I don't know. I'm going to say, yeah, it's real.
You're both wrong. It's Control Freaks.
What?
Oh, no way.
I called
He
it.
did do that. Wow.
No. Oh, man. I knew it. I was like, nah, that's way too absurd, and he did it.
Kuro, you had it. It was, and I was
I doubted
silent.
it. I was like, nah, he's not going to do that. Oh, man.
You have to know by now that tricking my friends is like my favorite part of the recast.
Man,
Monsters.
Almost on a perfect score so far.
Monsters is still at 1. Kuro is still at 3. Final answer. Monsters, you can try to not be as pathetic. Kuro,
Yeah.
you're doing all right. You can get 4 to 5. And of course, that was the that was the Freak Show episode. By the way, Control Freak is a Teen Titans villain as well. Okay. Invisible Ink.
I'll say that's real.
Oh, that sounds kind of real, but I'm going to say fake.
You are correct, Kuro.
Oh, man. See, if you didn't get me with that Control Freaks, I'd be 5 for 5.
And for a word of reference, the word invisible only shows up once on the Wikipedia page for episode list.
Huh.
I just had to check to make sure I didn't subconsciously remember an episode title. Okay, Kuro got 4. Monsters, as I mentioned, is forever number 1.
Yes.
But you're
He
number
was
2 in
number
terms of being
1.
correct. So good job, Kuro. Yeah,
Yay.
you only lost a point by trickery.
1 letter.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the recast again, Kuro.
Yeah, of
thanks,
course.
Kuro.
Happy to be here. Guess I'll be on next time whenever we're doing a big event or something. Probably the 50th, right?
well, I mean, there's a 40th first, but
oh
we'll
yes.
see.
Oh yeah. I'm seeing too hard into the future. Gotta get my time medallion off.
All right, please go check him out over at the Ink Tank.
Yes, the fresh new rebrand. We got some good content cooking up for you guys. Hopefully there's gonna be something for everybody.
Don't say it like that. Over at the Invisible Ink Tank. Okay.
Yeah.
Monsters, any final words?
We're in the end game now.
All right, join us next week for an Avengers-tastic episode. Pie Guy Rules, out.
Keep it fizzy.
Catch you guys next time.